All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Saturday stream. How's it going? I see Magus. I see nobody in dungeons, and Arif, who has regrettably reached Skyrim burnout. You know what? I've been there, buddy. Happens to the best of us. Hey, there's Caladran. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, that's why I've gone back and I've streamed Starfield and Diablo 4 for a little bit. Sometimes you just need a new character. Please call me nobody. No problem. Yeah. So sometimes all it takes is like a new character to get you back into Skyrim, and then you're all back in it again. It's all about the character. All right. So let's see. I do have a couple news items today we'll talk about. Nothing huge. If there's anything that caught your eye in the news this week or, recently, something Skyrim or Skyrim adjacent, let me know. We'll talk about it. First up, Starfield got an update just this week. Of course, we got some performance and some bug fixes, but I think the big eye-catching thing is the new car that we got for free. This is a little bit different than the buggy. I don't know if mechanically it works any differently. This one's supposed to provide a little more protection, I suppose, a little more armor. The original one was quick enough that you could avoid damage. But yeah, it looks cool. It's free. Why not, It looks kind of like the DeLorean, like the time machine from Back to the Future, but in Starfield. I don't know. I dig it. And then there was also a new free creation. It's a quest about a cook going around finding new ingredients and everything. This one's also free. Probably not a huge quest, but something to add to the game.
Maybe I can.
Just a little story quest line about gathering ingredients and becoming a chef or whatever. It seems like just one of those charming little story things that, if they could add more of these to the game, I think that would flesh it out really, really nicely. But yeah, that's it for the Starfield news. We also have been getting a lot of previews about Avowed. They're all pretty positive. It seems to be getting some good buzz around people who have played it. Fextra Life played it for 8 hours. I think Force Gaming played it for 20 hours somehow. And they all have some pretty good things to say about it. This is looking a lot better. Before, they kind of refined it, added like the screen space reflections and some of the better terrain elements and visual effects and stuff like that. It was kind of looking like an arena VR game for a while, kind of like a we have that at home version of Skyrim. But Fextra Life here says that there's going to be a lot of comparisons to Skyrim, but it really didn't play anything like Skyrim. It's kind of doing its own thing. And this is in the same world as Pillars of Eternity, if anybody's played that one. That was kind of when I was in my CRPG burnout phase. So I never really played those ones, but a lot of people love them.
I think I have a more positive impression of the game than I came away with at Gamescom.
This one's looking pretty good. Fextra Life says that this one actually has a lot more exploration and combat in it than like the previous Obsidian games that were more kind of focused on quest stories or story quests and dialogue. So for better or worse, if you like that or not, I don't know. This will probably make me like it more. I thought that the combat and the exploration in Outer Worlds was what was missing from that. I played that game 10 hours, 2 different times actually, and I could never get it to stick. Outer Worlds for me was kind of like the we have that at home version of Starfield for me. So a lot of people liked it though. It was a shorter experience, maybe like a 20-hour thing. I just couldn't finish it. Avowed really does look like modded Skyrim. Yeah, kind of. And this is like a wider, more open area. Not quite open world, but wider open area than Outer Worlds was.
15 to 30 minutes.
So I don't know. I'll be interested in it. I'll probably wait for this one to go on sale next year, probably later next year at some point, I'm guessing. Like maybe a Steam winter sale or something, and I'll try it out then. But I've never gotten an Obsidian game to really stick. The last one I actually finished was Fallout New Vegas. And that was actually probably my least favorite Fallout game that I played. I know there's a lot of Obsidian fans out there. They think that they, in their opinion, Obsidian does it better than BGS does, but I still prefer the BGS stuff.
You can just run off and explore in any general direction, which is kind of...
All right, let me catch up here, see if there's anything else. Nobody's in Dungeons was my father's name. Okay, I can call you Nobody. No problem.
So far, because I spent all my time in
done all the characters. Thankfully, there are other RPGs. You should look into Outward if you're... Oh, yeah. I'll look into it, but I do have a huge backlog. Look at this backlog.
I can only theorize about this, but the Dawn Shore area
here.
takes you about 6 to 10 hours to explore, depending on what difficulty you're playing on and how thoroughly you explore. So this is
I'm hitting the wrong buttons, guys. I have like 800 games in my backlog. So I'm probably not going to buy any new ones unless it goes on a very steep sale at some point.
Fleshed out or didn't have as many things, so I don't know if
we'll see.
Area is going to be
but Outward, I have heard of that. People do like it.
That Avowed is going to have a bunch of kind of open world maps.
Lemon's here, yo! Everyone ready for the Skyrim update coming? The CK already updated. Prepare your games. I don't want to hear, but Magus, I don't know how to let the Steam update. Yeah. No, there's lots of different ways to do it, or there's some very specific ways to do it right and ensure that your game is never going to update. People just don't want to listen. It's going to happen. It happens every single time. Found a game called Goofball on Steam. That's awesome.
Onshore area, you'll spend time exploring, fighting enemies.
Mr. B, welcome, buddy.
NPCs.
Hope you're having a good start to your weekend.
What you'll be doing in this area.
Audio quality isn't as good for me for some reason. For the stream
like this, but it seems like
or on GOG.
Shift in focus with Avowed towards less questing and dialogue.
GOG version, the audio is not as good. That's weird.
Something like the Outer Worlds. At least that's how the Dawn Shore area feels. It could be that other zones have...
yeah, that Skyrim update, that was... no, that's for the GOG, got it.
But in this very
good.
Area,
yeah, the Skyrim update, was that one where they were putting, like, Blender integration into the CK? If so, that's a really cool update. I know it's a pain in the ass every time they update Skyrim, but that seems like a nice update to have.
But the game's focus is running, jumping, climbing,
kinda cool.
finding chests and secrets a lot.
Just a CK update. They're adding an actual Skyrim update soon, though. Okay.
Dungeons and things like that. That's why I make that comparison. There are hidden chests just about.
Gotcha. Usually, if they're doing a CK update, that means the Skyrim update's coming at some point.
And you'll spend a lot of your time seeking them out. And
all right. So let's see. News mod showcase. Do I have any mods to showcase? Yeah, a few here. Actually, these are the ones from last week. I don't think I had any actual new mods. Oh, no, maybe this is right. So we have common clothing expansion. I feel like we did this one last week. Maybe not. The Nern necessities and the mage clothing expansion. I feel like this is very similar to that, where it will integrate well lore-wise and aesthetically into Skyrim. It just gives you some more options for some more clothing styles that actually fit really well in with the world. They look really good. I'm going to go ahead and throw this. This was in the hot files section of Nexus for a while. So it's not likely that people who really care about mods like this have missed it, but in case you did, there you go. Some people don't keep an eye on Nexus as closely as I do for, daily updates and all that. But that one looks good. I might add that at some point. There are unarmored builds that I still want to get to at some point, and that I've done in the past with the Acrobat and the Agent and some kind of mage builds that want to stay undercover, or even just like another outfit or something, an undercover outfit or whatever. Can't wait for the Skyrim 15-year anniversary edition where they bundle in all other big CC mods for free again. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Do you use a 64 gigabyte RAM card to stream and run the game? 64 gigabyte RAM card. I have 32 gigabytes, I think. Maybe I have 64. I don't know. It's been a while since I've upgraded my RAM. Yeah, I only have 32. I don't have 64. I don't think you need 32, or you don't need 64 to run and stream. I do it fine. I get well over 60 frames per second while streaming, running OBS. I can do it while I'm capturing as well, so I don't think you need 64. I get by just fine with 32. Been thinking about adding that common clothing. Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, 64 bits for, or 64 gigabytes for VRAM. I don't think even exists on a video card yet. Maybe next year for the 5090. I don't know. And the 4090s don't actually support parallel GPUs anymore, so you can't really run them that way. And that wouldn't be 64 anyway. That'd be 48 gigabytes running them in tandem. Yeah, let's see here. What else? I think, oh yeah, engaging combat. This is the next mod showcase I wanted to let people know about. This is one that Biggie Boss posted in his Lore Rim Discord. He's going to be adding this soon. This one's more aimed at like Requiem type overhauls where all the enemies are unleveled. And what this does is it keeps lower level enemies challenging even when you're a higher level player character. So this might not be great for everyone if you're all about that power fantasy, earning that OP status for your character. I know I am sometimes. It's like that's the reward for speccing correctly and grinding all those levels, is just being able to spank enemies that were killing you before. And this is more geared toward Requiem because Requiem is unleveled. Vanilla Skyrim and Skyrim and even Simon Rim and stuff like that, they don't do the unleveled thing. Enemies are always kind of pretty close to your same level. Everything is all dynamically leveled to keep the challenge curve fairly flat. So this one addresses that by basically every time you take an unblocked hit, you take damage to your armor rating. And so with daggers, if you take 10 hits from daggers, then your armor rating is going to hit a 95% debuff. So you have 5% of your armor left. And then the heavier, bigger weapons take less hits to actually whittle your armor rating all the way down. So you're not going to be invincible anymore in high-level Requiem against low-level enemies. Kind of interesting. Did I post those both? I did. I'm not. This isn't really something that interests me for my playthrough, but it might, depending on what kind of overhauls you like to use, and if you try to make your stuff harder at all levels, that might help you out a little bit. Simon Rim is unleveled? Oh, I did not know that. Interesting. Arena, an encounter zone overhaul. And Simon, okay, I didn't know he had an encounter zone mod. This is a new one for me. When was this? Back in 2020. Okay, so this is after my experience with Simon Rim. My experience with Simon Rim was the Adamant, I think, was the perk overhaul. I played around with that a little bit, and then the mysticism magic overhaul, and that was about it. I decided that I liked an Skyrim better, but yeah, interesting. I did not know that. There you go. Something else that differentiates Simon Rim from an Skyrim, I suppose. Okay, so those are the mods, unless anybody else has a new one that they want to talk about. Kind of defeats the purpose of Requiem in its purity. Yeah, I kind of agree. Not a Simon simp, but it's a good mod. That's the official term. Gotcha. I've only used several of Simon's. Some ones not dependent on adamant and mysticism, and those are barely V plus. Okay, so just little ones. I'm more of an Anai simp, and apparently so is Karn. Yeah. Yeah, I don't dislike the Simon stuff. It's just that I've always preferred the Anirim stuff. The Simon stuff that I played with is like, oh, this is a cool idea, and then I play with it, and then like, you know what? I'm really missing sort of the wider gamut of gameplay changes that Anai tends to explore with his overhauls. It just enables so much more in Anirim. Simon is good, but you're still just playing Skyrim. It's more of a tweak of vanilla Skyrim. Even if it's beyond vanilla plus, it still kind of feels like it's just tweaked Skyrim, whereas Anai is more of, okay, we're adding play styles, we're adding gameplay to this game. Saw a lot of obese women presets and a lot of translation. Oh, on Nexus. Interesting. Modders are liking that cake lately, huh? Let's see. The Concord designers are flooding the Nexus. Concord designers? Did Concord have some thick women in it? More than several cakes. Okay, what am I doing here? Let's go. Oh yeah, we have a community spotlight. Let's move into community spotlight. As you can tell, I don't really rehearse these. I don't have time to rehearse my streams. I just put stuff in my bookmarks and hope for the best. So this guy has popped in from time to time, and I've actually had some talks with him about, you know, how he manages his channel and everything. This is Skyrim Explorer. He's a friend from Poland, actually. And he's doing pretty well for a smaller channel, 1,500 subscribers. Not bad, not bad. A lot of videos. So he's got a lot of playthroughs over here. Pretty well modded game. He mostly just lets the gameplay speak for itself. There's no voice on it. It's pretty pure gameplay, except that he does have text on the screen for some of the more story elements. Whenever he needs to explore what his character is thinking or doing, he can put some dialogue up on the screen. Not unlike what Caladran does, which works well sometimes when you're able to look at it, when you're able to watch and not just kind of listen to it in the background and glance over every now and then. So it does take some more attention, but this guy knows what he's doing. The gameplay is really good, and if you're looking for ways to improve your own gameplay, you can get some hints and tips and tricks just by watching Skyrim Explorer play here. A lot of assassin style gameplays with a lot of the playlists here, but not just assassins. He's got some pure mage runs, a pure warrior playthrough, and just some like bloopers and things like that. So yeah, when I do have time to sit down and actually watch something, this is what I will put in my watch later queue for the day. Pretty good stuff. So if you're looking for Skyrim gameplay to watch, you could do a lot worse than Skyrim Explorer. Go ahead and leave him a sub. I'm sure he'll appreciate it if that's your kind of thing. All right, community spotlight. All right, so that's the community spotlight. I was thinking that maybe I've been doing a lot of polls lately on the channel, and it's been working really well. I've been getting a lot of engagement on these polls, which has been nice. And I thought it would be cool to kind of just maybe briefly discuss some of the results of some of these polls. So the first one, I was playing some of the pure warrior, and I was just wondering what other people liked as far as their favorite melee style. And it seems like the sword and board is the runaway favorite for this, with almost half of all the votes. And kind of unsurprisingly, unarmed is down here. That's kind of a niche play style, but can be really freaking fun, especially with an Irem. It can be very rewarding. Dual wield and unarmed are kind of the same playstyle, really, because you don't have access to a block. Dual wield, at least you get access to enchanted weapons, which can help with sustainability as far as survivability and things like that. You're already subbed to Skyrim Explorer. Awesome. Oh yeah, Grey Mischief. I'm all about Grey Mischief. Let's see. Oh, that's Wicked Wind. I always get Wicked Wind and Grey Mischief mixed up. They're pretty much pure gameplay. Just small little clips of just interesting combat mostly. And they kind of popped onto the scene at around the same time, and I discovered them very closely together. So Wicked Wind and Grey Mischief, they kind of get mixed up in my head a little bit. Let's see. So yeah, not really surprisingly that one-handed with or without a shield. It's just much more responsive. You get quicker attack speed. You get the access to the shield and the block bashes and things like that. And even the shield sprint is really fun. So not totally surprising. I didn't expect it to be such a runaway. The discrepancy between one-handed and everything else is pretty large. But that is what that is. And then I asked about the favorite triumvirate archetype in Skyrim because I was starting my cleric let's play. And very unsurprisingly, the Shadow Mage again ran away with it. Again, not shocked about that one. Maybe the discrepancy between this and everything else was a bit exaggerated, more exaggerated than I expected. But I thought Druid would be a little more popular because the Druid has done really well on my channel. The Druid build guide, a lot of people really liked that one. Not as well as the Shadow Mage build guide, but this is easily my second most successful build guide on the channel behind the Shadow Mage. And this one's kind of keeping in line with the cleric, and poor little shaman over here getting the shaft. Warlock was one that didn't fit. I only get 4 slots for these polls. So I don't know. Warlock's pretty cool. I would like to have seen what Warlock would do up against the Druid, the Cleric, and the Shadow Mage. Probably a little better than the Shaman did. But all in all, Shaman is right up there in my top 2 for how the archetypes that I've enjoyed the most in Skyrim. It's more of a spell sword style play with a spell in one hand and a weapon in the other. You can it's a lot like the cleric actually. You can enchant your power attacks with magic effects. The Spirit Storm spell is freaking amazing. One of my favorite spells in all of an Skyrim, really. It's because the Shadow Mage is by far the best character you've built. Oh man, so you're saying I peaked. It's all downhill from here. Kidding. So one fun interaction between Mana's race mod and Ordinator perk is the Vancian magic makes the racial power free to cast. That's awesome. Yeah, I do actually have some plans to do a Futhark profile at some point in MO2 that does Manaz, Freyr, the patch for Manaz and Freyr, which is the Standing Stone mod that goes with it, and then Val Raven that's supposed to kind of go with all this. The Val Raven is the combat mod that is supposed to replace Wildcat for this Futhark experiment that he was doing. And I has since kind of given up on this because there wasn't a whole lot of uptake by modders or the community. I think that Ordinator and full in Skyrim is just kind of really ingrained in the community right now. So I don't think it was ever going to be as popular as his full or V plus overhauls. It's not as plug and play as those other ones are, because Manaz and Freyr specifically really need to play off of each other for the full effect. But I am looking forward to playing that. Shaman Assassin is fun. Adding Hunterborn stuff really elevates the build too. Yeah, I thought so. Is that even finished? He hasn't learned with Simon's stuff that users don't like when mods all rely on a set of mods. Yeah, Kinda, but I don't know if that's the lesson that he learned on that. He just knew that there wasn't a lot of uptake on it, so I feel like this is kind of abandoned. He was going to do a mod overhaul for Futhark called All Thing, if I remember correctly. But that has been abandoned, and he is working on an update to Ordinator now to kind of take on some of the ideas that he had for All Thing, but still it's going to just be Ordinator. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully he doesn't, remove too many of the things that people liked from Ordinator. Hopefully he doesn't change it up too much. He did have, in my opinion, a good update for the 4.0 of the Summer Mist enchantment overhaul mod that added some things that really made a lot of sense in terms of buildcraft. So if he can kind of stay on that level, I think I'll be happy with it. But if he tries to do too much, I'm not. Yeah, I hope he doesn't fuck up. Same thing. An eye peak, do you think? Well, yeah. I mean, if all I got was Ordinator and the original Skyrim with all the mods that I'm using now, that's enough to keep me busy with different kinds of builds and playthroughs for the foreseeable future, like decades even. I have ideas, all kinds of ideas. I just don't have the time to play them all. There's so many, so many build ideas. I just wish I had infinite time and energy to play them. And that's all enabled by an Skyrim, really. The vanilla game gets stale. Even a modded game will get stale because you're still just playing Skyrim. So I have to go play other games now and then. But yeah, I have a big enough pipeline of an Skyrim builds that that'll keep me busy probably for the rest of my life. You don't think that the new Summer Mist is better? There's some things that I like better. There were some enchantments that I just never used that he removed, and I didn't miss them. There's some new ones that I really like, and some new ones that I'm probably just never going to use. It's about even with the old stuff for me so far, from what I've played. There's a bit of problem with the Skyrim mod pack. There are individual mods in the pack that have updates, but updating them will break the mod. Skyrim stuff isn't that complicated to install on your own, though. Yeah, that's true, though. There are patches that are old that haven't been updated for the new versions of some of the updated mods. Specifically, like Summer Mist, there's a lot of patches out there for the 3.x version of Summer Mist, and 4.x changed a lot of stuff. Shaman warriors are really fun too. I had an Imperious Wood Elf who used Visions of Opportunity and Staves of Ferocity with a Warhammer. Yeah, it's very powerful. You can hook that up to Okado's Recital and profit. And people, let's see. What was the next one? Oh yeah. What's your favorite basic class playstyle in Skyrim? This one was actually a pretty even delineation here. I was actually expecting the Thief Assassin to completely run away with it. And then Mage second and Warrior kind of a very small percentage. But a lot of people actually like playing the Warrior. And especially in Skyrim, I really have been enjoying the Warrior more than the other two, personally. Mage is cool. There's a lot of juice in the Mage, but it's a lot more complicated than the other two basic classes, right? So that one's been kind of slow going for me. The Thief and the Assassin is cool, mostly because I've been playing Thief means that it's kind of less of a build grind and more about just completely fleecing an entire city and hoping you don't get away with it and trying to remain unseen and trying not to solve everything with combat. So that's been fun, but that's been kind of a more of a chill kind of playthrough thing. Yeah, so the Mage was complicated. Thief is kind of a different non-combat, not quite pacifist, but not combat oriented. And Warrior is just where I go crazy and just do the high density gameplay type stuff with all the action. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. Not surprised that Thief Assassin took it. A lot of people are fans of the Assassin Nightblade kind of thing, but not See, that's the thing, is probably a lot of people are playing some kind of hybrid between assassin and mage into kind of like a Nightblade hybrid class. So that's probably why the mage and the assassin are a little more evenly split. And then for the current builds, by far with over half of the votes, people are liking the Triumvirate Cleric. The Triumvirate stuff does really well on my channel, which was why I kind of figured I wanted to do a new Triumvirate build sooner rather than later. Especially thinking that the Pure Mage is going to take a while, Pure Thief is really new, and the Pure Warrior is almost done. I've actually been writing the script for the Pure Warrior, and I'm about a third to a halfway through it, so I'm really trying to get that done by the end of the year, so maybe people get a Christmas present from me in terms of the Pure Warrior build guide. And then favorite Thief Stone skill, so basic Thief skill, Sneak, Pickpocket, Alchemy, or Other. Sneak, of course, is running away with it. Alchemy is actually doing a lot better than I thought. Alchemy is probably the strongest skill in the entire game. It equalizes and legitimizes any playstyle that you want. So if there's a build that you want to play in Skyrim, but it's not really viable because of certain gameplay mechanics, or there's not really a lot of perk support in one mode of gameplay that is going to be hard to do at higher difficulties, Alchemy fixes everything. It's a complete fix-all duct tape skill for any class. And it scales really, really highly. So even without perks, you scale Alchemy up to 100, you're going to get some really powerful potions. So that's why my pick for this one is actually Pickpocket, because Pickpocket is the quintessential thief skill in the game. The whole gameplay mechanic of that tension between whether or not you're going to get caught and what you're going to do if you do get caught, as long as you're not save scumming, which I think is why this one was lower than the other ones, because most Skyrim players save scum their ass off all the time, and it just really completely gimps the entire gameplay experience of the pickpocket for a thief. But that's my opinion. And then this one that I just posted before I started the stream, we got a lot of love for the Bow of Shadows. Let's do a refresh on this. A lot of love for the Bow of Shadows. We got one vote for Other with a comment below and no comment. That's cool. Nightingale Bow, Dwarven Black Bow of Fate, and Bow of Shadows. No surprise, Bow of Shadows is kind of running away with it. Especially for a sneak archer, Bow of Shadows is best. Black Bow of Fate is really, really good for combat archery because of the absorption attributes that it has on it. It's going to keep you alive. It's going to keep your stamina levels up. A Nightingale Bow, especially if you take the highest level one, has some really strong damage enchantments on it. So if you're an arcane archer, if you're not using the summoned bow, or the bound bow, Nightingale Bow is probably your best bet for that. It scales with destruction perks, so Nightingale Bow is good. If you're just trying to cause more magic damage with your combat archery, you're going to get less of scaling damage with the elemental damage with sneak archery, which is weird because the Nightingale Bow is supposed to be for sneak archers, right? But the elemental damage that it comes with, which is nice in combat, just does not scale for sneak attacks. That's all physical damage, which it isn't bad in that regard either. The other notable mention I would say on this one is the Bow of Ruin, which was added by the Anniversary Edition. It's a really nice enchantment. I think there's like a Chaos enchantment or something on it. Great for combat archery, but it just looks silly. It's got that big eyeball that's staring at you the entire time, and it's so fat that it takes up like half the screen. It just looks silly, but it is a really good bow. My favorite bow is the bound bow, especially because I have the Necro Archer mod. Ooh, Necro Archer. That's why we have Artful Dodger, so you don't have to save scum. You can just see. I have Artful Dodger. This is like a must-have for me all the time. The problem with Artful Dodger for me is at some point you can just pickpocket everything and it completely denies you all the tension. You may as well just be save scumming if you're going to set this thing to 100 cap. So I feel like you have to leave a few percentage points of chance to fail with the configuration that you're doing with this. Yeah, leave at least 1%. I would even go for like 2 or 3%, because the fun of pickpocketing, for me anyway, is what happens if you get caught. There's got to be a chance of getting caught for this pickpocketing to be as fun as it can be. So yes, great mod. You should have it, but set it up appropriately. Don't make it overpowered. Honestly, 90% is good enough. The problem with the vanilla 90% is that 90% sounds fine. You are going to fail 1 out of 10 times, but in practice, in the vanilla game, it feels like way more than 10%. It almost feels like 50%. And I've actually done like experiments where I would sit there with the vanilla game on my PlayStation or whatever, and I would do like 20 or 30 pickpocket attempts on something that says there's 90% chance to pickpocket it, and it's way closer to 50% than it is 90%. I'm wondering if Gopher's algorithm that he's using, the logic that he's using, fixes something about vanilla. Could just be the luck of the draw with that, though. That's the thing, though, Karn. Almost never fails. Almost never fails. Not never fails. 93 to 94%. Yeah, that sounds about right. I wouldn't even mind a 95%. 90 is just a little low, and in practice, it feels like much lower. That's why I think 94% is best. Yeah, it's funny that we're splitting hairs about like single percentage points here, but it does seem to really make a big difference, in my opinion, anyway, in my experience. All right, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything else here. Thinking about playing crafting skills only build using only alchemy, enchanting, and smithing. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a powerful build because of the damage improvements that you're getting from alchemy, enchanting, and smithing. It's going to outpace what you're getting from perks anyway, especially in the vanilla game. It's harder with a Nyrim because the mastery perks scale with a percentage of your skill level instead of just adding like a block amount of this is how much damage bonus you get. The mastery perks in Ordinator just scale way better than they do in vanilla. So I think it would actually be pretty strong. I have a gadgeteer build concept that I was playing years ago, and it worked really well. It was kind of a mostly crafting build with some like crossbows and traps and things like that, and it was very strong. It was hella fun to play too. You like no crafting builds? No speechcraft. Yeah, I just feel like that's kind of limited. In my opinion, if you're playing a BGS game, be it Skyrim, Fallout, or even Starfield, and you're not doing any crafting, you're missing a huge chunk of the game. Like at least 30% of the game is crafting up your stuff. Speaking of no speechcraft, Boone just put out a speech-only challenge on legendary difficulty, and I'm really interested to see how the hell he's going to pull this one off. So yeah, this seems very interesting. I have no idea how he's going to do this, or what the terms of the challenge are, what the goal is. It's probably not the funnest concept to play, but definitely a very interesting challenge concept, and I'm definitely eager to see, like I said, what the challenge is and how he's going to pull it off. Did the drama between Boone and Slack? I never really saw a big escalation of drama. I think that kind of the peak of the drama was just a lack of comments. So in my experience, from what I've seen, and I'm not really drawn to drama like a lot of people are, I kind of like, if I start to see drama, then I'll pull away and go somewhere else and do something else. So I haven't really been totally interested in the drama, but from what I've heard, the peak of it was, you know, Boone just kind of stopping replying to Slack's message, and then maybe a block from either Boone or Slack on either side. Oh, it's still there. Definitely the drama. Shouts is how, yeah, but Boone plays vanilla Skyrim, and the speech tree in vanilla does not really have much support for shouts. And Irem does for sure, but vanilla does not. There was no drama. I think both Boone and Slack have nothing to do with this fucking fan base. Yeah, probably mostly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Boone, he does not shy away from using Slack's name in his videos. Which, from what I know about Boone, is more of a kind of a nod to the legacy of Slack, and it's a very deferential kind of acknowledgement. But I'm sure that helps with the algorithm too. So I don't know. I don't know Slack well enough to know if he's petty enough. If somebody mentioned my name in one of their videos, actually they have before. There were some really small YouTube channels that were doing Let's Plays based on the Karn 114 Shadow Ninja build, and I was super flattered. It was awesome. It's like, yeah, let's see how that. And I watched the whole series too until they kind of gave up on it because YouTube is hard. But yeah, you mentioned your name and all. Oh, nice. I'm flattered. Yeah, you're always very generous with the promotion. When I show up, it's hard for me sometimes during the week because I'm busy with work and stuff like that. I also have to be careful with Enderall because I still do. Oh shoot! I fat fingered the Steam exit. I was trying to close that out earlier. There we go. Oh yeah, Stalker 2 came out. The review window of this game had a ton of technical issues, and it still is very wonky. The first game was really wonky too. But the day one patch apparently fixed a lot of stuff, and the people are really enjoying this one now. It didn't get good reviews because, like I said, they didn't have that day one patch available, and it was a technical just mess. But this is impressive that they were able to get a huge open world game out while developing it in Ukraine in a literal war zone. So that was cool. Glad to see that come out and glad to see people enjoying it for sure. Aonia Cosmoborn, looking forward to Avowed. Yeah, we talked about Avowed earlier. It looks beautiful. Yes, it gets a little stuttery. Yeah, but before there were like animation issues and like just a lot of audio issues where the guns would just completely go silent. Clipping issues all over the place. A couple reviews that I watched said it made it almost unplayable. Not quite completely unplayable, but kind of unbearable. But that's since been fixed, according to a lot of I push your shit every stream. Two things. Didn't sound right. No, it didn't. Cold and windy here currently. We went through a week almost with rains. The weather here has been crazy. There's been 40-degree swings from the low to the high. Like, I'll wake up and it'll be mid 40s, and then by, mid late afternoon, it's all the way up in the mid 80s. It's crazy. Welcome, Haster, by the way. I've been responding to your comments, but I didn't actually give you a formal hello. So, hello. Hope you're doing well. Same to Aonia, Cosmosborn. Currently doing a reformed necromancer turned astral magician build. What kind of mods are you using for the spells on the astral magician? Out of curiosity. Tons of spell mods out there that do all kinds of things. It's actually been pretty cold and windy here in Florida too. It's like 60 degrees in freedom units, but that's cold for here. Yeah, it gets colder than, we're out in the desert. We're not like a kind of tropical, swampy climate like Florida, most of Florida is. The deserts here, they'll get really hot, but because of the dryness in the air, it gets really cold in the winter too. We go below freezing a few times in winter typically. Kitty Tail does have the astral spells. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what they're called because they tend to give them crazy names. Oh yeah, Magus, you guys are getting that huge snowstorm. Yeah, my wife's family in Scranton is getting dumped on right now. And it seems like the same storm system that the Steelers and Cleveland game in Cleveland. Actually, there was snow everywhere in that game on Thursday. And I think it's the same system that they're getting in Scranton right now. Yeah, it was thick. There was Dureni. I'm not sure if that was Astral. I do have them on my list of mods to try. This is way down the line, but I do want to do some builds on the Kitty Tail stuff because a lot of people seem to like them, and I at least want to try them out. If they don't stick for me, they don't stick for me, but I've never tried them. And Dureni obscures Wind Waker Wizarding Traversal magic. That sounds interesting, actually. Probably a lot of blink and teleport stuff. Ancient Blood magic, Holy Templar magic, Frostbitten Dreams, Dark Hierophant. I could see that having some astral stuff in it. Abyssal Tides, Constellation magic. This is probably the big one. That seems very astral. Oh, and Astral Magic 2. How about that? Yeah, Magus posted it. It was the last one on my list. That probably means it was their first one. I think Anai actually has like a cosmic magic mod too that was very unbalanced and extremely overpowered, so it wasn't as popular, and he kind of has disavowed that one, took it off of the Nexus for a while, put it back up because people were asking for it, but he himself does not like that mod, so I think that he doesn't consider it canon in Irem, so I've left it out of mine. Falmer heavy stuff is great for a dark heavy armored sorcerer playthrough. Absolutely. When I do my sorcerer playthrough, I'm using the Falmer heavy set with maybe a dark hood or something to go with it. Astral spells too. There you go. That's the one. We were gonna put it together eventually. Dureni's mod is called Stellaris. There you go. Oh, you're giving me Anai's, yeah. Yeah, cosmic spells. I think I actually said cosmic spells too. This was like, if not his first mod ever, it was close to his first one. And yeah, like I said, he's not proud of it. Some really impressive visuals on a lot of it. But like I said, not balanced well. He's not a fan of how it fits in with the rest of the Anirim stuff. It's more of just spectacle magic if you want something cool to look at while you're playing your mage. The Shellbug helmet looks amazing with the heavy Falmer armor. Good to know, good to know. I'll try that one out when I get there. All right, so we have not played, actually it feels like we haven't played the Thief character in a while, but I think it was just a couple weeks ago. I've been playing her a little bit over the last couple days, and I've made some good progress. We have the Bow of Shadows now, but we also have a Daedric crossbow that I've stolen from the Fletcher in Solitude. And for whatever reason, I'm getting some funkiness with the bolts. XPMSE has been kind of playing with the bolt placement a little bit. It did eventually fix itself for me yesterday. So I think it was actually the Frostfall setting that I had. Did it reset itself? I did have it working. There was a little bit of script lag that was causing it not to set its position right away, but it did eventually work fine. Default, yeah, this is supposed to be... No. think it was supposed to be default. Yeah, when I load into a new area, it might fix itself. Anyway, the reason why I have both a bow and a crossbow here is the bow is going to draw much faster. The bow also gives me an invisibility effect that is not available to a non-mage thief. So having that invisibility effect at my beck and call just by unsheathing the weapon is hugely beneficial to a thief. But if I'm doing some good old-fashioned sneak archery, I'm going to need the extra damage. I'm going to go with the bow, with the crossbow. This does more damage than the Bow of Shadows, even though the Bow of Shadows, I think, is Daedric level as far as base damage. The crossbow just does more damage, which scales better with sneak attacks, but also it ignores 50% of armor. All crossbows ignore 50% armor, which helps with the sneak attacks even more. So sneak attacks are for Daedric crossbows. Bow of Shadows is for sneaking in general. And I'll also do some sneak attacks with the Bow of Shadows on lower level enemies. But if I'm gonna hit on like Draugr Deathlord or an Overlord or something, or some Bandit Chief, I'm gonna be using the Daedric crossbow. This one's still marked as stolen, and this comes from the AE edition. So what's his name in Solitude, the Fletcher there, does have it in a display case. I think it's either an expert or master level lock, but you know, that's not really an issue as long as you have enough lock picks. So it's great. Which version of XP MSSC? It might be outdated, but it's the one for 1597. I'll double check and see which one, but it did eventually fix itself over the course of play, so I'm not really too worried about it. If it's the newest version, oh, it's definitely not the newest version. 4.81 is likely the one that you want. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Where is my XPMSC mod? Oh, here we go. It was behind a divider. 4.8. So there is a 4.8.1. Okay, I'll look at that off stream. If it's just a drop-in update, then that should be easy enough. I will definitely look into it. Thanks for the heads up on that. I might fix some things. I've never really had a problem with it other than just script lag, you know? I actually really liked using invisibility potions with hotkeys. Yes. Hotkeying potions is awesome. And it's instant. It's not like weapon switching with the warrior. You also that spontaneous invisibility perk in the sneak tree as well. Spontaneous, like the Shadow Warrior perk. Yeah, we're not there yet. We're only level 20, around level 20, so I don't have the top level anything perks yet. Sneak Tree has a perk called Party Starter that works really well with invisibility on command. Yeah, so that's another thing. There's some synergy that that we can do in the Sneak Tree. Let's see, that's fine. Let's see. I was gonna save this level up because this dungeon dive with Mercer is gonna be tough. Might want the tactical level up for the attribute refresh. But I can reload the save, no problem. So let's take a look at the Sneak Tree here. Not a lot yet. Don't have a ton. Assassin's Blade would be the next one, but we're not doing melee because one-handed is not part of the thief skill set. The next one I'm going to be taking is problem solver at level 80. Party Starter is even higher up in there. When you gain invisibility, places a barrel of flammable booze at your location. When you lose invisibility, it explodes, dealing fire damage equal to 20% or 200% of your sneak skill. That's huge. This would synergize really well with the bear traps that attract enemies. Because I feel like if you go invisible, it's gonna put your explosive barrels there. But then with lockpicking, if you have the bear traps, big game bait is the one I'm looking for, and then you put down a baited bear trap, use the bait power, they're going to be attracted to that barrel, right? And then The trick is maybe have like a paralysis effect on the bear trap, and then shoot them with an arrow or something. You're gonna lose invisibility. You're gonna blow them up. They're gonna hit the bear trap. It's gonna be ridiculous. Love bear traps. Yeah, everybody loves bear traps. People love bear traps. I was not sure if I was going to be using them, but I feel like with the thief, I need a little bit more than sneak archery to aid me in my combat style. So I think that I just have to use bear traps. This is more of like a hunter archetype. But yeah, I think that the pure thief needs it for a little bit more combat variety, in my opinion. Funny enough, bear traps to get OP on legendary without using archery, potions, and sneak attacks and magic. Yeah, talking about OP, I have been leveraging Wildcat. So every 10 levels, I will kick up the difficulty a little bit. So I am allowing Wildcat to manage difficulty. At level 10, I knocked down the damage dealt to vanilla legendary difficulty, which is 0.25%. Or just 0.25, so 25% of what your damage output normally would be, which actually ends up being half of what you're dealing with Wildcat out of the box. Out of the box, Wildcat halves your damage, and then if you want to kick that down even further, you can have that again. So I'm actually only doing a quarter of the damage that I would be doing at Adept difficulty. And then damage taken, I'm kicking it up 0.25% for each 10 levels, but since we're only at level 20, I've kicked down the damage dealt to 0.25, and I've kicked up the damage taken to 375. So we should be getting into some pretty hairy predicaments here, because I really want to lean into Shadows of Skyrim and how that's going to be creating nemesis for us, and that will scale into the late game as well, giving us different perks and passive active effects to add to our character at high level as we play. What else in the skill tree? Speech I've been working on a little bit. I have unlocked speech training in the general trader, the dark elf here in Windhelm. And he's also a general goods trader, so I can sell all my loot off to him for speech training, which is good. I am also obviously part of the Thieves Guild, which has all the rest of the trainers there that I might need. Really looking forward to kinship, not so much because there are not very many Argonian vendors in the game. The only one I can think of is the jewelry trader in Riften. I can't think of any other Argonian vendors in the game, actually. But what I really want to do is get to salesman and then fence. So there are a couple of throwaways here. The investor one actually isn't bad, but it's just more of a quality of life thing. And kinship is kind of a throwaway perk, but it's kind of worth the extra perk just to get salesman, and then fence is kind of worth the extra perk just to be able to sell your stolen stuff. And then of course trade prints is nice as well, but that's mostly just quality of life, making sure that you don't have to travel all over the province for selling off all your loot. What else? Pickpocket. I got Thief's Eye, which illuminates people in a major hold once you enter the city proper, for increased things to pickpocket, some more valuables. The sort of the same thing in lockpicking for Robber's Eye. I'm gonna keep my eyes posted to the upper left-hand corner. You get a notification when either Robber's Eye or Thief's Eye procs for an area. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. Sneak we've seen. Light armor, not much here. Light armor fit just to help with armor rating, and then initiative at some point more useful when I actually get the slow time effect from steady hand, which we're not there yet. I'm gonna need level 50 or level 60 to get there. But yeah, that's about it. Pretty cut and dry. not much going on there. That's the build so far. I have upgraded my Thieves Guild boots with Tonelia in order to get a better pickpocketing percentage. But now we are supposed to meet Mercer outside of Snowvale Sanctum. Track down Carlia, and with the relatively low level and high difficulty,
I've scouted the
this is going to be a tough dive, guys. I'm going to get into some trouble here. You allowed to use Lion's Arrow. Technically, it's well, no, I'm not using Lion's Arrow. That would create a lot of gameplay variety that the thief kind of needs for a stealth archer and a combat archer. But the reason I'm not using it is because it requires the dual casting perk from some magic tree, and the thief does not use magic trees, right? You need to be able to dual cast a spell in order to hook it up to Lion's Arrow, and without perking into a spell skill, a magic skill, I can't do that. So no Lion's Arrow for this one, unfortunately. You could just do bear traps and illusion and call it a day. Yeah, I'm not doing illusion either. But I think there's enough juice there with bear traps and things like party starter that we're going to have a lot of fun with this one. You want me to lead?
I'm sorry, I was under the impression I was in charge. You're leading and I'm following.
Currently adding Wildcat in its extension, the realistic damage extension. I feel like you don't really need that. I think Wildcat itself, if you set it up correctly, will do all that for you. But nice to just have a plugin to throw in there for it, I guess.
Just make certain you keep your eyes open. Carlia is as sharp as a blade.
Yeah, I used that for a long time. It does get overpowered even on Legendary late in the game. It doesn't scale as well, but first 10 or 20 levels, it feels great. Let's see. All right, so roleplay here. Collects many things. We call her Cole as the nickname for, short for collects. So Cole here, she has come out of her shell with a lot of the members of the Thieves Guild, even the leadership. So she's gotten a little more comfortable. She considers a lot of the Thieves Guild members friends at this point. Mercer is a guy that she has not really gained an acclamation for personally. And he's kind of a tough shell to crack for obvious reasons. He's kind of an asshole. He's hiding a lot of things. So she feels kind of uncomfortable with Mercer, and so she's going to be a little standoffish with him because he's standoffish with her.
We need to keep going.
And she's been kind of shy, withdrawn person herself. Zora has been getting her out of her shell a little bit, which is nice.
Yes. What is
so
it
she's
now?
She's coming into her own as a silver-tongued lizard that can con somebody, much like Gulamai in Solitude. But yeah, with Mercer, she's still very cold. There's a lot of barriers between the two of them, so she's very uncomfortable with him. But she does want to know what she's getting into. So tell me about Carlia.
She was a stubborn Dunmer. Always had to do everything her way. But she was also the best, bringing in more coin a month than some thieves.
She's a master thief, huh?
Gallus trusted her too much and let her get too close.
Coletta would be a good nickname. So the main goal of a nickname for me is to reduce the amount of syllables, and if I can get it into one syllable just for ease of use and just a little bit more familiarity, I will. Coletta does sound nice, but that is 3 syllables, so kind of a long nickname.
That, yes. Me?
I would like to develop an Anselil, like a proper Anselil name for her at some point. She's an orphan. Maybe at some point she finds a family member somewhere that can tell her actual Anselil name, but I don't have enough of a mastery of the Anselil language, the Argonian language, to come up with something that is appropriate. Maybe somebody else can help me out with that, or maybe there's a translator app on the internet somewhere.
Jealousy, spite, Who can say what drove her to such an
The extension
iniquitous
says it
act?
makes it easier. It definitely
One thing's
does.
certain, I intend
But
to
it also
find
has a
out
better
before
flow.
she
You're talking
draws
about the
her
realistic
last breath.
damage. It does have a more kind of realistic. The pacing is better if you're used to like action games. But yeah, it does get very overpowered. It makes the game a lot easier. But yeah, it can make it more fun for people who aren't as comfortable with high level difficulties. Some of the veterans here. Okay, so how did Gallus die?
25 years ago, I was standing outside these very.
Will she
same
eventually
ruins.
gain an obsession with cups?
Gallus
No,
told
this
me
this
to
is
meet
not.
here, but he wouldn't say why.
This is
When I
not. Oh,
arrived,
jeez.
Gallus stepped from the
Twist?
shadows.
This ain't
Before
Twist.
he uttered a sound, an arrow pierced his throat. Before I could even draw my blade, her second arrow found its mark in my chest.
So Carlia took on both of you alone.
Carlia was a
She sounds
master marksman.
very
Her
formidable.
greatest weapon was the element of surprise. I was lucky. She missed my heart by mere inches.
Fudge
I
Muppet?
staggered away from the ruins and my vision began to blur. It's then that I realized the
Did
bitch
Fudge
had
Muppet steal
poisoned
that from
her
Couch
arrows.
Warrior? Because Couch Warrior's Twist had an obsession with collecting cups. I wonder who did it first. I'll bet it was Couch Warrior. And Gallus.
The last thing I saw was Carlia dumping his body into an opening atop the ruins. An unceremonious end
If you're doing
for a
alchemy, skip the
remarkable
elemental
man.
oil. I've used
To
elemental
this
oils.
day,
They're,
I've regretted allowing her to escape.
I like
even if it meant
once
I
you
had
get the
died
walking
trying.
disaster perk where you just
I
spill
owe
them all
Gallus
over the
that
place and you have
much.
some kind of concentration spell to ignite them all. Then it can be really fun. But until then, they're kind of cumbersome. Definitely a new way to play the game, though. I actually liked the oils. Let's see. What happens after Gallus died?
The guild was thrown into disarray. Several stepped up and tried to claim Gallus's former position as guildmaster. Sides quickly formed behind these men and the Ratway became a bloodbath.
And you were part of this?
I saw what they did to Gallus. I wanted to use the guild's resources to hunt down Carlia. The others didn't even care he was gone. Fortunately, I persevered, and the other groups were either killed or they left Skyrim.
And what of Carlia?
The infighting had taken months to subside, which gave her time to go into hiding and carefully cover her tracks. I spent thousands of septums and used every contact at my disposal. But it was as if she had simply vanished. Like I said,
This is all kind of
before, she
foreshadowing.
was the best.
He steals Carlia's idea later on. Tries to create disarray in the Thieves Guild and use that as a distraction to disappear with the eyes of the Falmer. But he is not as good at Carlia at pulling this stuff off, turns out. Okay. Fine. So
That's
it
enough of
sounds
this
like
unnecessary
Carlia
chatter. We need
is
to keep
extremely
going.
formidable. She's really good at what she does. So Cole here is very uncomfortable. So she really doesn't like Mercer. She hasn't really formed a relationship to speak of at all with him. She's got to take him at his word with what happened here, but having no rapport with the man, she doesn't completely trust him. She's got to take him at his word, at the face value of the things that he has said, so she's going to go along with it. She really has no choice, honestly. He is her boss, and she's still trying to make a name for herself. At least she has Zora with her, and Zora she has come around on, dropped barriers with, and
I don't know what the fuss
formed a
is about
rapport and a
those
trust
lots.
with her. So that does make her feel a little more
They don't know
comfortable.
how.
I'm running Nether's follower framework, so Zora will be able to follow us throughout this. That will help a lot. I'm running legendary difficulty, and every modifier that applies to NPCs as far as damage output also does apply to Zora. So she'll be able to tank really well. She'll be able to deal a lot more damage that maybe I won't be able to. That's good. Fudge Muppet did theirs 8 years ago. Twist was 6. I don't take Couch Warrior as the kind of guy that's going to blatantly steal something, he might unknowingly be inspired by it. But that is an interesting timing there, huh? He also had Saint Billy, which looked a lot like the guy from Days Gone. But the Days Gone guy actually came out first. And Stu kind of bemoaned the fact that it looked like they had stolen the Days Gone character concept from Saint Billy. But yeah, the Days Gone guy actually came first. I feel like maybe he's subconsciously getting inspired by these things that he sees. Oh, jeez. Alright. Got some lower level Draugr here. Yeah, we're doing like no damage. I have the Bow of Shadows. I have an Ebony Bow. Sneak attacks are a little better. Oh, I just hit Zora. Damn it. Sorry, Zora. Yeah, we're gonna let the melee fighters take care of the brunt of this here. If she has anything to say about this. I do have her character quest in my journal, but we're focused on the thieves stuff right now. It sucks that we're taking point, but at least we can sneak away. Oh, and I have my light on. Jeez. Okay, so Hunterborn does have the Bone Amulet of the Long Night, which gives us a
pull the chain over there and watch out for the spikes.
Night Eye effect that we can get to at any point.
Fire reset all of the traps.
That helps a lot. Yeah, so Karliah apparently is a master of trapping. Let's not get into any fights that we don't have to get into. There's a swinging great trap here that I'm assuming will pop once I pull the chain, as Mercer has said. Mercer has more experience. I don't know that he has more raw talent than Cole as far as all the thief skills, the sneak and pickpocketing and all that. Cole probably more talented than Mercer, but right now in terms of raw skill level, Mercer has the experience. He's been around the block a few more times. He knows what he's doing, and not that Cole knows it yet, but he does have the benefit of the skeleton key. Twist was 2018. I feel, yeah, I do too. That was a long time ago. 2016 for Fudge Muppet, 2018 for CW. Got it. Not that it mattered. No, it doesn't really matter. They definitely could have come up with it independently. It just seems like such a niche thing. Must say he wasn't a big fan of. Oh well, you're a Brit, right? You're from the UK, so hearing an American do a British accent. I mean, I think it was pretty good for just an amateur American doing some British voice acting, but probably doesn't hold up to people who have to deal with the accent all the time. Still say Zarek did way better builds than Fudge Muppet. I would agree. Fudge Muppet cranked him out more. So when Fudge Muppet was doing its thing, we didn't have a ton of Skyrim content. And Fudge Muppet's production quality was good, and they pumped out a lot of content. So I watched most of it just because, you know, I would watch it or listen to it as background noise for when I would be working. So I was thankful to have the content, even though the actual quality of the builds, as you're saying, Zarek did it better for sure. And Couch definitely did the roleplay and storytelling better than Fudge Muppet ever did. But in terms of just pure quality or quantity, and you know, their production quality was good. Even if it wasn't the most creative stuff, it was Skyrim content in a time when we didn't have a lot of it. Wish you got to keep the skeleton key. You can, but it doesn't really do anything other than give you an unbreakable lockpick, right? The things that you get for turning in the skeleton key, I think the guild master armor, which is really good for actual thieving, is great. Yeah, and welcome in, Miles. I don't know if I recognize your name. Maybe you've been lurking for a while. Maybe you're new. Maybe not, but welcome in. Been playing Morrow Ultimate Adamant Experience. Got jump scared by tanky Draugr at level 8 trying to get the Golden Claw. Yeah, I think Morrow de-levels a lot of things, so yeah, that would be rough. Shame the Thieves Guild armor doesn't have muffle. Yeah, it does not, but that pickpocket effect does help out a lot. Okay, let's try to get through this. I know that Mercer... Oh, great. Zora's not very sneaky, and she's got the torch. Mercer tends to be loud. I think we'll be able to stay hidden as long as we don't have our quick light on. Definitely want more lockpicking experience, so let's grab this. Okay, we woke up somebody. I hear Draugr breathing over there, but we have not been detected yet. Zora, are you a ghost? Do I have a sixth sense thing going on here? He looks a little ephemeral. Okay, there's a trap. Oh, I just stepped on a trap. I was like, nobody step on that trap, and then I stepped on another one. Okay, there's one over there. We're not getting by that guy. May as well do a little sneak attack action there.
Your blood will adorn my blade.
All right, the way's clear. Let's keep moving.
Will you guys be quiet, please? Yeah, for being a master thief, Mercer really likes to yell a lot of shit talk, doesn't he? Like, you're sitting here trying to do sneak attacks and stuff, and he's like, "You'll taste my blade!" Idiot. Now, the strategy to employ here is interesting, right? Because you don't want to get flanked. You, as a pure thief, you kind of want to be as sneaky as possible and not engage unless absolutely necessary. But at some point, I feel like you're going to run into a mostly unavoidable combat scenario with Mercer. And at that point, you're going to end up getting flanked. But let's see how this goes here. I really don't want to get flanked, but I also don't want to... Oh, that did no damage to those guys. But I also don't want to needlessly engage in combat when I can just sneak past. I don't think there's any way past at this point. So we may as well just clean up the flank while we're at it here. What time is it? 12:21. Okay. We're nearing the halfway point. I'm gonna have to take a break here sooner or later. Iron Bolt. Let's do something a little better here. With TK Dodge installed, I actually have some tricks with the crossbow too. If you cancel the reload animation with a dodge roll, you'll be instantly ready to attack again. So shoot dodge, and then your next shot will be available much quicker than waiting for the whole reload animation.
That was hardly worth my time.
Jeez. Really? You guys are just gonna stand there and take that?
Who's there? I'll spit on your your corpse!
Okay. Huge mess over here. We'll take some pot shots. This is good for increasing archery. I also don't want to blow through all of my bolts. I don't have a ton of them. 30 dwarven. Use some of that, I guess. Let's actually switch to the bow of shadows here. We have more ammo. Form of arrows. Don't want to use the high quality stuff. Want to save that for the sneak attacks. But just using this kind of stuff here is for this taking the pot shots as needed. All right, we'll take care of that flank. The vast majority of iron arrows I have will be fine. Dodge and bash, dodge and bash. Actually, I'm gonna switch over to Ebony because this guy's now aggroed on me. Need to do a little more damage. Back to the iron arrows. Actually, we'll be fine. We just need to save the bolts, I think, for sneak attacks more than anything. You guys still working on it? It's like a higher level. Oh, that's a scourge. You guys can finish him off. Thought you guys would be able to finish him off, but maybe not. Popped him. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Karn, you can disarm the bear traps. I've been... Oh, was I running into bear traps? I didn't even see the bear traps. Are there bear traps over here? I don't see bear traps. I must have missed them. Master Thief over here. Been lurking the channel. This is my first live stream, but been lurking since the start of it. Nice. Awesome. Well, welcome aboard. I think you'll find we're pretty nice people here. We're not going to be an asshole to you. TK Dodge breaks so many things. I just like it. Oh, I can't play without it. I'm also not a fan of any dodge type mods. Then again, I'm not a controller plebe like Karn is either. Yeah, it works a little better with controllers, I would say. I gotta have it. For me, just being able to attack cancel with a block adds so much to melee combat. Having some other way of getting around, which you can do with silent roll, obviously, but it's not available if you're not sneaking, if you don't have that perk, or even if you do have the perk. I might be investing into trick arrows like I did with the warrior. So I want to gather up all of the ancient Nordic arrows that I can, because I can turn those into those explosive ice arrows later on. I'm with Karn, gotta have the dodge mods. I use keyboard and mouse as well. There you go. Yeah, there are people who are very staunchly anti-dodge mod. Don't really know why. I mean, everybody has their preferences, of course, and I'm not gonna knock you for that, but I feel like it's only ever a benefit. I can't think of any time where I wish I didn't have the dodge mod. And there's plenty of times, like when I'm playing vanilla on console or whatever, I'm like, man, I really wish I had a dodge mod right now. At the moment, I'm drinking Aperol Spritz. Yes, rarely drink alcohol, but this is the night. Okay. Well, enjoy your beverage. Okay. Speaking of, I need to get a snack. I'm getting a little hungry. I had a protein shake earlier, but I haven't really had much breakfast to speak of. I got a slow metabolism in the morning, so I don't really get hungry. But I'm going to grab a snack. I'll be back in just a couple minutes, all right? All right, I'm back. Hope you guys didn't miss me too much. I would hate for that to happen. Mike Barnes, welcome, buddy. Could never get TK to work out of the box with the most recent version of SE. Interesting. I never had a problem with it, as long as you're running, you know, either Nemesis or FNIS or Pandora, I guess now. Make sure to get all the new behaviors added and everything. It's not like, it's not a regular mod that you can just install it and go. There's some setup. Some setup to get it to work. Always been worth it for me, though. Same with E&B. I've never had a problem with that either. Sorry, man. I mean, there's probably something you're doing wrong, but kind of hard to diagnose in this medium. Patrician TV. I feel like I've seen that before. I do love a video essay. One of my favorite video game video essay guys is, I think it's called Daryl Talks Games. He has a lot of stuff about addressing backlogs and just some thought pieces on video games. I love a good thought piece. I just like thinking in general. Thinking's awesome. Thinking is underrated. Okay. So let's think about this tactically here. We have a good vantage point. We can use this to take pot shots at these Draugr underneath here. Eventually, these Draugrs are going to try to make their way up here, though, and that could trigger aggression from these dudes over here that are
Bone chime.
that are sleeping.
Clever. Rigged to wake the Draugr, I'd bet. Don't blunder into any of them.
And at that point, they're going to be flanking us while we're trying to take pot shots at the Draugr underneath. So I'm wondering if it's worth it to clear these guys first or not. Let's see if I could park Zora over here close to the doorway. So that if these guys do get a little antsy, they're going to run into Zora first. Mercer's following me pretty blindly. Like to clear this area out, get some valuable archery skill. Oh, you're opening up Northern Kingdom, huh? All right. I know you were talking about that. I didn't know if you'd actually done it yet or not, but yeah, I can pin that. Where am I going? Here we go. I think I can pin it. I can pin it. Look at that. There you go. I should be using the crossbow for this, but whatevs. So far, so good. Nothing flanked. Mercer's happy. Zora seems to be complacent. I hope she's not complacent, but she probably is. NPC AI in this game is not great. Sneak archery at its best, folks. Don't act like you haven't done this 7,000 times in the last 13 years. Getting some nice, valuable archery chaining here. Better than paying for it. Glad these aren't clunking up against the terrain here. Usually, you know, that's a concern with sneak archery. If you're trying to aim downhill from a ledge, because of the way the projectile comes out from the player character. It comes out from like the knees, ankles area. There's a good chance that the downward facing shot is going to hit the ground or the ledge that you're standing on underneath you. And that's a vanilla thing. That's as far as I can tell, I've not seen any mods or anything that fixes that. But we're actually getting some pretty good projectile arcs here. With a crossbow, it might be better than an actual bow. Let's just kill them all. Now, I am playing a pure thief here, and I'm missing badly these bolts. A pure thief would likely try to just sneak past all this, leaving all these guys undisturbed. But since I have Mercer shadowing me, that's not really the best option. It's very likely he's going to attract more attention than I would. Even with collects many things in a young stage of her career, she is sneakier than Mercer is. Mercer's better in a fight, but Cole is much sneakier, much more stealthy. Oh, he's almost down. All right, last dwarven bolt here. I kind of actually want to save the rest of the bolts for tougher fights later on. So we'll switch back to the bow for now. Could do a lot worse. Oh, pro tip, finish your training at Angie's camp. Indeed, indeed. Archery progression is typically pretty slow, in my experience. There we go, kill cam. Nice. Yeah, so ideally I would like to be able to sneak through all of that. But again, since I have Mercer with me and Zora for backup, they're not the sneakiest individuals. Eventually we're going to get spotted, and especially in this area right here, there's a narrow corridor we have to go down that is patrolled by a Draugr. So even if I can squeeze by and make it through, Mercer definitely is not going to be able to. See if we can get any of our ammo back here. Looks like it might be a Scourge up there, so he's going to be tanky. Hey, there's the Wind. Welcome, Wind. How you doing? Yep, Wynn's link. Oh yeah, Magus posted Wynn's link. Her link is also posted in the description of the video if you're not following chat. A lot of fun to be had in a Wind stream. Highly recommend. I'm a Wind fan. Okay. Should be pretty clear. I do want to go get that damn boat, though. Okay, so this way is clear. Let's go find the model ship that we can sell to Delvin. We can also put it up in our Shadowfoot Sanctum, which I have purchased from Veckel, the man, in the Ragged Flagon. That was added by the AE version. One of the creations that came with that. And that is what I've been using as a player home for this character. Pretty nice. It has everything that you might want from a player home except for plantable pots, plantable plots. Can't plant anything there, which is sad, but it's just the way it be. But it does have like trophy displays for unique items in the game as well. There's actually a way to get 60 archery at the start of the game for free in vanilla. Yeah, you can, once you get to Riverwood, you can do an easy little quest for Faendal, who is an archery trainer and a follower. So if you get him, as long as you have the upfront money to pay for it, you can loot his inventory and take your money back and keep doing that until you cap out. Okay, so when I take this ship, it's going to trigger these falling lantern traps and blow this whole area sky high. So let's loot everything first. So let's grab this. We'll dodge roll off the ledge here. That's what you get. Eat it. What we got up here? Okay. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. Now, let's see here. I feel like... Okay, no, this is the way back up. All right. Here we go. I just got turned around. We're good. Faendal only gets you to 50 archery. You have to do a few more things to get to 60. Okay. So you're talking about skill books? Because I like to save those for the end. Always assumed Mercer was trying to trigger things to get you killed. Yeah, that's the way I played it. I had more of kind of a machinima style story play with Alcunil, my alchemy assassin. It's kind of how I started my YouTube career, was with story let's plays, more role play with like voice acting and stuff, which wasn't great, but it was okay. I was telling a pretty decent dark story with the former chef from Solstheim, and actually really enjoyed that series. It didn't get as much love from the algorithm as the build guides do, but it was a cool series. And that's kind of how I played this whole playthrough. It was Alcunil and Mercer really didn't trust each other, and Alcunil was being whispered things. It was called Chemical Whispers was the series, and I played off of the Dunmer Imperius racial ability of the dark whispers telling you to kill people. And they were telling him things, and they told him not to trust Mercer. And so this whole like dungeon crawl, I played it off as Mercer and Alcunil like trying to maneuver each other into traps the whole time, and trying to maneuver each other into getting caught by Draugr and stuff. using each other as meat shields, but also like not being overt about it. Because they were still trying to get to Carlia. Should I chance this? Let's see. Can I reach it from here? Can. Osmocurus. Came real close. I don't think I can reach this one though. I can jump over it, but I always end up triggering it whenever I try to jump over it. No, let's not get too greedy. Mercer, you here? Okay. Close that back up.
We're on the right track. She's been through here as well.
Has she? Oh shoot, Zora, I left her behind. She'll catch up. I just closed that gate too. Let's see how many fights she gets in on the way over here. Because we're gonna need her. Actually, Mercer's been pretty sneaky up to this point. Okay, I feel like it's gonna be a bad idea trying to sneak past this guy. He's just gonna get the drop on us, so may as well take the initiative. Get a good shot in.
Now you're mine. I'll spit on your corpse.
Just letting Mercer tank here as I peck away with my massive amount of iron arrows here that I spent like the entire first episode of this Let's Play gathering. Hey, there's Zora. Get in there. Got to level up, mostly on archery, maybe a little bit light armor. All good stuff.
I'll spit on your corpse.
Steal, damn it.
Your death will.
And we got the kill cam. Nice. All right, let me catch up. There are 3 archery skill books near or in Whiterun, and Angie's training cap gets you to 59. There's a 4th skill book located somewhere, I forget. Yeah, I try to save the skill books though and Angie's camp for the last levels, because those last levels take so much more experience to earn. So for me, it's not a race to 60. It's how I'm gonna get those last 10 levels or so. And I'll typically go and get the Scholar's Insight from the Black Book in Solstheim, which I think is the first one you get. No, I think it's the one in the Ebony Mine in Raven Rock. If you can get through that, you can get Scholar's Insight, which gives you 2 skill points for every skill book. And so there are 5 skill books for every skill, so that's another 10 levels right there, and then you get 6 for Angie's. So once you get to level 84, you get pretty much a free ride to 100. But yeah, that trip to 84 is a little longer than what you would, get to 60 with all those tricks. But then those last 40 skill points are going to be rough going after that. Honestly, the difference between 100 and 90 archery, well, it depends on what perk overhaul you're running. If there's a level 100 perk that you're trying to get, well, actually, I don't even think there are level 100 perks in... Oh shit, I fucked up. I never restarted my load after the very beginning of the stream when I just took Magicka to see what perks I had. I never reloaded, so now I have an attribute in Magicka that I'm never ever gonna use. Shit. Alright, let's So I'm supposed to be doing 2 in health and 3 in stamina, so we'll just flip over to stamina at this point. Oh well. That extra point in magicka is going to make very little difference in the end anyway. Whereas the autosave, that would be way... I'd have to go through this whole thing again. It was outside, when I took that perk, it would be outside at Carlia's camp, outside of Snowvale Sanctum. Okay, I do have a couple perks. I'm going to try to get some more attack power out of archery here. Ranger isn't going to do anything for me. Focus on the prey isn't going to do much. Yeah, actually, perfect aim isn't bad. There are level 100 perks in Skyrim. So yeah, if you're trying to get these level 100 perks, which are extremely powerful, you do need to get to 100. In the vanilla game, the 100 level perks usually aren't typically that strong. There are some good ones. Quick shot would be good. Quick shot would be great, actually. If I can draw or reload my bow or crossbow 30% faster, that is actually a 30%, close to a 30% increase in rate of fire, which is tantamount to 30% increase in damage, because it's damage per second. So this one would give me more damage. Snipe would also give me more damage on first attacks anyway. Inflicts a critical strike that deals 3 times critical damage, and any weapon enchantments applied by the shot are twice as effective. This is great too. I think though quick shot's going to be more usable because, well, quick shot's great for combat archery, which I'm gonna have to do, and I have done a lot of in this dungeon crawl. Snipe is going to be better for sneak archery. At least use some of the crossbow perk, help it armor penetration. I don't think in Skyrim there's any specific crossbow perks, right? But yes, you're right. The crossbows do come with an inherent 50% armor ignore. You were right about the realistic damage on Legendary. I'm using Astral Wave, which reduces magic resistance by 12%, using Astral Bolt, dealing 90 damage, but boosted by 5 times damage, and I can one-shot. Yeah, pretty much. I'm getting tired. It's 2 a.m. here. I'm gonna leave the stream running so I can fall asleep to the beautiful sounds of Stealth Archer. All right, Arif. Good night, buddy. Sleep well, okay? Nice talking to you. Left side mainly. Bows and crossbows ignore 25% armor if the target is not moving. Okay, long shot. Bows and crossbows deal up to 40% more damage to targets beyond 50 feet. Damage bonus increases. 40% is nice, but this has to be qualified by long-range targets. Snipe is going to work for anybody at any range, and so is quick shot. Can't take that one yet, though. I'm not there yet anyway. Crippling shot, that would help with combat archery, but I don't really think that's a great use of a perk for a level 50 build. Long shot is good. I mean, for sneak archery, it's you have to qualify it though with being at range, and especially in this dungeon crawl, there's not a lot of space to work with. Had to buy a new phone charger. The one I'd been using for years finally died. Use a really nice brand. Has a nylon cord and metal covered adapters. Very nice. Okay, light armor we're fine with. Sneak, 72, I need 80 to get to problem solver. That's the next big one. Adept at hiding in a target's blind spot. Sneak is 15% more effective within 30 feet and 30% more effective within 15 feet. That sounds great. we actually haven't been having too many issues with sneak ability. This one might be good though, especially for a sneak archer. If you can't kill him outright with one shot, having more effective sneak against somebody who is in combat with you is nice, especially if you have a follower. This would be great for this dungeon specifically, but not as useful elsewhere, I think. Tripwire, spot detection. I think I might just bank these for now. I really want to be able to do more damage, but I don't know that there's anything that's ready in archery just yet. Yeah, the ones that James said, you know what, this is probably best. 40% is a lot, and if I can find the range, which I usually can if I'm sneaking, then that would be great. 40%. 40% is nothing to sneeze at. Where are we going here? Nothing doing there. Okay, we're all good. Watch for traps. I feel like with the root growth on the ground here, easy to hide pressure plates.
Ambush. Be ready.
Okay, for this one, I'm going to be using Caustic Spit, which is the Argonian racial unlockable ability with Imperius, and it does a lot of armor reduction. Actually, let's see if it tells me exactly how much. But I'm going to save this for the big bad because I think this is the last room before Karliah ambushes us. Corrosive Venom reduces armor by 600 points and magic resistance by 75. Okay. Alright, let's try to find some distance here and we'll start sniping. He's really making it hard with the terrain here. Okay, there's a more heavily armored guy right there. He's probably going to be the main bad guy, the guy on the left. It looks like he's wearing a lot more armor than the guy on the right, and he's got an enchanted sword. So that's probably a Scourge, which is a higher level guy. The guy on the right is probably a Restless Draugr. So let's try to take out the little minion guy first. If I can find a good angle on him. Okay. I don't know if this is 50 feet. Doesn't feel like it. Nah, I don't think it was. Did like no damage. They're both Scourges. Oh yeah, you guys are gonna get cooked. Sorry. Oh, he never saw us. Okay. I'd rather take the fight to this room where there's more terrain to use. Let's see if this guy's just a Scourge as well. Draugr Scourge Lord. Okay, so no, the first guy was definitely the minion. That guy is definitely the boss. We were right. We were right to begin with. Wow, Mercer's actually holding his sword and dagger in the right hands. He's got the dagger in his left and his sword in the right, which is the correct way of doing it, because the left hand in a dual wield attack determines the attack speed. So you can have like a tiny little dagger in your left hand and a ginormous mace in the right, and you're still going to be attacking with the attack speed of the dagger, as long as you're doing the dual attacks with both attacks at the same time. If you're doing just a regular right-handed attack, then of course you're just going to get the attack speed of whatever's in your right hand, but you do them both at the same time, it's going to take the attack speed of the one in the left. Okay, so here's the Scourge. The Scourge Overlord is probably working his way back up to that platform. Alright, this is going to take a while, but this is the way to level up both sneak and archery. Probably be better if I can use something more powerful than the damn iron bolt. I have silver bolts. I'm not sure if these do more damage against undead, but that's worth a shot. Let's see, those are only doing 9 damage though, as opposed to the 14 of the bone mold. Get through the get through the bone mold stuff first. Find a nice dark spot. Don't mind so much if he does find Mercer or Zora, but he hasn't yet. So let's just ride this gravy train while it works. And then if they do detect Zora and Mercer, then I can just switch to the Bow of Shadows and pepper them with the iron arrows that I have 8,000 of. Gotta find as much distance as possible here. Proc that long shot perk. I'd be all over shouts like throw voice for this build. Yeah, I don't have shouts yet. I'm running Skyrim Unbound. So dragons aren't unlocked until level... It's either level 20 or 30. Let me see. Yeah, level 30 we get dragons on word walls, level 40 we get random spawns. So we don't even encounter dragons until level 30. And in order to kick off the main quest, you gotta kill a dragon. So we're far removed from being able to use shouts yet. But yeah, once we get there, I'll be making liberal use of throw voice and loss, aura whisper. First word only is all you need for that one. And if we become a vampire with this character, which does suit the thief playstyle pretty well because you get bonuses to stealth. And other nice things for a stealthy character, then where was I going with that? I have no idea. There was something about the vampire and the shouts. I don't know. I'm old. I'm losing it, guys. Diminished brain capacity is working its way into the gray beard. I run deadly dragons, so I'm getting regular dragon spawns. Nice. Been thinking about adding that into my build too, but even just vanilla dragons in my game, the way I have things set up, are quite dangerous. So because I usually don't encounter dragons until higher level, I'm not getting the regular dragons as much. I'm getting more like elder dragons, ancient dragons, and what was the other one that looks like the snakes? Revered dragons, I think. And on legendary difficulty, especially with certain classes, unless you have like Spellbreaker or Good Ward, it's very hard to avoid that really strong elemental damage. Either fire or ice. So deadly dragons and like diverse dragons and stuff, that I would love to add them to my load order, and it would be great for my really high level characters, but right now I think that they're just too challenging with the way I have things set up with Shadow of Skyrim and the way I'm manipulating Wildcat for harder difficulty levels. And the fact that the only dragons I'm seeing are going to be higher level dragons anyway. Suffering from caffeine withdrawals. I had really bad caffeine addiction to the point where I needed to drink it every other hour. That's too much. I do love me some caffeine. I buy Monster energy drinks in bulk at Costco. But I do give myself hard stops on caffeine amounts. So I count the milligrams of the caffeine that I take in a day, and I stop usually before it gets to 300, and I definitely hard stop before it gets to 400, which is typically safe for most people. That's about 4 or 5 strong cups of coffee, or no, 4 cups of strong cups of coffee, which is typically considered safe. Some people are more sensitive to caffeine than others. As long as I pace myself, I'm usually fine with it. But every once in a while, I feel like I don't really have anxiety like a lot of people do. So if I start feeling anxious, if I'm feeling anxiety, it's usually because I know that my caffeine intake is too high, and then I just, you know, take a caffeine sabbatical for a week or two, and it resets everything, and I feel better again. Drank roughly 1,000 milligrams. That's too much, man. And that's when I realized that, yeah, you got to be careful. Caffeine actually has some really good benefits if you're not, like, sensitive to it. Obviously, it sharpens your focus. It'll give you energy, but there are also some cardiovascular benefits that are a little bit less documented. But if you use caffeine in moderation, it's actually good for your heart. At least with some studies that I've seen. And plus, just that caffeine buzz that you get, as long as you're being responsible with it, it's nice, you know, to feel that energy, that little oomph. Especially when you're older and jaded and tired and exhausted from a lifetime of just working away at some job you may or may not like. Life tends to wear you down. You need those simple pleasures whenever you can get them. And for me, getting my hit of caffeine is definitely one of those. I have autism too, so it has weird side effects. Yeah, okay, so I've also heard that with some autism, like spectrum disorders, and also like things like ADHD, it can present differently, effects of caffeine, which is really interesting, right? And also between men and women with and without ADHD and ADD, caffeine affects you differently. Kind of fascinating. Okay, so Zora and Mercer are actually holding up their end of the bargain with the sneakiness here. I am kind of shocked and pleased by this. Especially Zora with her big-ass greatsword there sneaking around. Like that's even a thing. Alcohol is actually really weird because it improves your clarity. That is also fascinating. Yeah, just the sheer amount of different ways that people are wired up. Human anatomy is so extremely complex, especially with the nervous system. There's just so many different ways that people operate internally that presents in different ways when presented with subjected to different stimuli. It's really fascinating. Humans are crazy, man. Okay. Is this the last guy? I thought that there was one more dude who pops out of one of the sarcophagi on the other side over here. There's one more, right? And he's probably a lower level minion. Yeah, there he is. And that looks like maybe even just a regular Draugr, not even a restless one. Oh my god, you guys are gonna get caught. You like brushed elbows with him, Zora? And he still didn't see you. Okay. Alright. Not gonna complain. Wow, that is actually a Draugr Scourgelord? I don't think so. Alright, now we're in it. Now we're in it. Zora, you gonna help him out a little bit there? Now it's time to use the caustic spit. There you go. Switch back over to Bow of Shadows. Let's take some pot shots. Where'd the other guy go? I might have actually one-shot that regular Draugr, or at least wore him down enough for Mercer to take him out quickly, because I don't see him anywhere. Use instincts real quick. God, I hope I don't get flanked by him. Yeah, there we go. You guys do all the work. I'll just sit up here and use my target practice. Oh, swing and a miss. Sorry, Zora. That's why I'm taking my target practice here. Oh, no, there's the other one. Shoot this guy in the ass until he dies. Right in the butt.
I've killed legions like you.
What build are you playing right now? Well, first of all, welcome Cosmic Mike. Hope you're doing well, having a good start to your weekend. Not sure I recognize your screen name. Sorry if you've been in. But right now I'm playing a pure thief. So basically the classic thief class, which is archery and sneak, obviously. Light armor, pickpocket, lockpicking, and speechcraft. So right now for this dungeon crawl, we're pretty much doing the sneak archer thing, which I know everybody's seen 1,000 million times, but eventually, toward the end of this stream, or on the other side of it anyway, we'll be doing some actual thief work, and that's where this build really shines, in my opinion. That's where all the fun is prepping for that big pickpocket fishing job and making sure you have an escape route and everything hooked up. Hoping we'll get to it. Not sure we actually will at this point. Some get ADHD, other get OCD. I got hit over the head with half the autism spectrum, man. Well, I mean, people make it work. I don't think it means you're crippled. You're definitely going to have some challenges, right? I mean, I have no idea. I have some of the flags a little bit, like like loud noises, loud music. It gives me like an instant migraine. Crowds, I'm very uncomfortable in. It's like being at a wedding reception is actually physically painful for me. But other than that, I usually score very lowly on the spectrum tests. So I don't know. I'm probably just very introverted. I probably have some kind of sensory thing with the loud noises. So I can't imagine what it's like to live day to day with that stuff, but can't imagine it's super pleasant. It's got to be more challenging than
Fortunately, these doors have
what I deal with on a daily basis. But
That reminds me of my
I know a lot of
own
people who
life.
live a completely normal life, successful life without,
It's close, I'm certain of it. Now let's get moving.
that are very heavily on the spectrum, and they make it work. You hit 5 on the test? Oh shit. We got sniped. Have OCD, anxiety, and deal with other things in that realm as well. Yeah, I'm lucky enough not to have any of that. I got lucky that I got a pretty pampered childhood, which let me focus on fighting myself to keep my autism under, they call that masking, right? I also got lucky and most of my symptoms went away. Nice. That's awesome.
My blade finds your heart.
Give me a
They won't
reason
retest you to confirm? Is that like an insurance thing, or are they just refusing to do it because it'd be a waste of time or something? That's just something. Yeah, I feel like.
You must first undermine his
So the kind of advent of all this, like, diagnoses of autism and everything, I feel like the diagnoses are increasing, but I don't think more people are actually getting autism. I feel like it's been like this forever. It's just now we're finding better ways to diagnose and report on it.
Did you expect him to simply ignore your methods?
Because a lot of stuff that people say put them on the spectrum is stuff that people have been dealing with for a long time. It's just, they just chalked it up to human weirdness, right? At least from what I've seen about it.
I'm no full mercer.
I think a waste of time for them. My insurance pays for it. Okay, nice.
That I can promise the next time we
I mean,
meet.
yeah, if you've been living with it for 44 years, I mean, obviously it might have given you some challenges that you might not have realized that's where it was coming from, right? And just knowing it might give you some better ways to deal with it. But if you're 44 years old and you've been living your life a specific way, and you know you're happy with how you're able to deal with things and your understanding of the world and stuff, then I don't see how it's gonna change your life, knowing it's just a different way you're wired up, I guess.
I'll be certain to give Brynjolf your regards.
Mental health needs way more fun. Yeah, and it's like, it's not covered by insurance in a lot of cases, right? Or not as much as it should be. More doctors, more research. Apparently I've lived with it, but just did the test a few months ago. Never considered it till the end of August this year. Yeah, I think I remember you mentioning it a little bit.
We're here to teach you a lesson.
Who's there? I knew.
But I
I'd
feel
get
like,
something.
what the hell?
Here you won't be here.
Your
Are you kidding me?
fate is sealed.
I feel like I'm not supposed to be able to escape that dialogue sequence. Hire Thug. Has anybody had this happen before? I don't think that this is a modding conflict or issue or anything. This has to be a vanilla thing.
We make such a good team.
Let's see.
Easy, easy. Don't get up so quickly.
Well, it looks like it's
How are you
recovering.
feeling?
I've never seen that. You know, 5,000 hours in this game, and I have not seen
No,
that once.
I
But that
saved
is
you
for sure a
life.
vanilla. The Hired Thug is a
My
vanilla
arrows tipped with a unique
vanilla
paralytic
thing.
poison.
And
It shows you
the
how
fact
to
that the
kill
game
people
doesn't
bleeding
pause
out.
during
Had I intended to kill
dialogue in this
you,
game,
we
like it
wouldn't be
does in
having
like
this
Oblivion,
conversation.
means that, you know, that's also a vanilla thing. So
My original intention was to use
you've never seen that
arrow
either?
on
Yeah.
Mercer, but I never
for sure
had
wasn't a
clear
mod thing.
shot. I made a split-second decision to get you out of the way, and it prevented your
Emotional
death.
volatility, emotional suppression, ADHD, OCD, tics, and almost got Asperger's. I don't think that's how you spell that. That's definitely how you say it. I needed 8 different medications to function at all growing up. Now I'm drug free. Hey, that's awesome. What was the change? You just learned how to deal with it better, or is it just cleaner living? I know that having a... Oh my god.
By Nocturnal's grace, I will defeat you! Damn you!
Time to end this.
You'll need to do better than that.
Oh, followers love getting right in your line of fire, don't they? They absolutely love getting right in your line of fire all the time.
Looks like that was the last of them.
Death approaches.
It was not the last of them, Zora. Turn around and fight.
That's your best. I fought worse than you. Oh. You're a fool to fight me.
Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of people with like the OCD and the anxiety and stuff, they've seen like good benefits from following a regular exercise routine, kind of wearing themselves out a little bit. It's only going to take you so far, right? It's not a cure-all. I mean, one of the most effective medicines for all of time has been diet and exercise, right? But yeah, that only takes you so far. Took Prozac before Prozac was really available. Ooh, exciting. Ooh, a lot of experimental drugs, huh? I was also kind of used to test drugs because many medications didn't work or made things. Yeah, that's I think are you using Winter Sun? I am indeed using Winter Sun. And let's see. That's another update that I have. I've actually taken on the Hist. Once I get to 100% favor, I'll be able to get some better skill buffs from that. But yeah, I took on the Hist earlier this week off stream.
Easy, easy. Don't get up so quickly. How are you feeling? No.
Can we
I
actually
saved
finish this
your life.
dialogue now?
My arrow was tipped with a unique
Jeez.
paralytic poison. It slowed
Started
your
making
heart
coffee
rate
recently
to
as I've gotten
limit.
off of
Had I
amphetamine.
intended to
I'm
kill you,
small and was on
we
it for
wouldn't be
years for
having this
school, and it helped a
conversation.
lot. I was starting to get muscle spasms with high dose. Yeah, there's always side effects, right? I think with the spectrum stuff, it's all about
My original
trying to
intention
find
was to use that arrow
the
on
right
Mercer,
combination of medicine that works for
but
you,
I
and that can
never
take
had a clear
years.
shot. I made a split-second decision to get you out of the way, and it prevented your death.
Yeah, I know. I'm always trying to like find a different way of pronouncing it, but like everybody just says Asperger's, so I just say Asperger's. I'm always trying to say like Asperger's. I'm just really trying to hit that P hard. But yeah, they're just all Asperger's. A lot of Asperger's. Good vocabulary, not as good at spelling. Yeah, that's all right. That's an internet age thing, I think. You should have shot Mercer
I promise
instead.
you, the thought crossed my mind. The poison on that arrow took me a year to perfect. I only
Also
had
worried
enough
about
of
my
a
heart
single
health as I
shot.
was taking medicine since
All
9
I
years
had
old.
was to capture Mercer alive.
Asperger's with cheese. Nasty. Nasty.
Mercer must be brought before the guild to answer for what he's done. He needs to pay for Gallus's murder. My purpose in using Snowvale Sanctum to ambush Mercer wasn't simply for irony's sake. Before both of you arrived,
God,
I recovered a
Carlia looks
journal
so
from
good with
Gallus's
this over. I think this is a
remains.
Vision one.
I suspect the information
Which is
we
like
need
her
written
eyes and her
inside.
facial expressions and everything. It looks really, really good.
I wish I knew. The journal is written in some sort of language I've never seen before.
Perhaps it could be translated.
Gallus's
And
friend
there.
at the College of Winterhold. Of course. The only outsider Gallus
My metabolism
trusted
is so
with knowledge of
accelerated
his
I have to
Nightingale
take a
identity.
magnesium and iodine supplement or else I crash. Interesting. I used to take
There are three of us.
ZMA when I was working
Myself,
out, and it actually helped with my migraines a little bit.
Mercer.
I typically
We
will
were
have like
on
one or
a
two
spectrum
migraines a
of
year,
things
if any
that
at
were
all,
lifted.
but when they do
Perhaps
hit,
I'll
they hit
tell you more
hard.
about it later. Right now,
And
we need to head for
ZMA
Winterhold
is
with the
zinc and
journal, get the
magnesium, and it
translation.
helps with like muscle
Here,
cramps and stuff too.
take these as
Just getting
well.
some
They may prove
minerals
useful for the
in to
journey.
help keep you hydrated. I do drink a good amount of water, but it doesn't always stick in my muscles much as I'd like. And I do take electrolyte supplements and stuff like that, but having the zinc and magnesium did help a lot. Been on Xanax for my panic disorder since 2003. It definitely has long-term side effects, and a lot of them are not good. For men, can't speak for what it does to women long-term. Yeah, I think those are well documented. Also just a side effect of age, by the way. You gotta get off caffeine to reset your dopamine system. Interesting. So why didn't you kill Mercer?
Mercer lied to the guild, branded me a murderer, and slandered my name across his network.
Not ED? Okay, don't have that one yet. All right, well, at
25
least
years I
there's
know.
something to look forward
Never
to.
sleeping in the same place
You got
twice and
something to hang
carefully
on to
covering
there.
my
Two
tracks.
things.
Mercer doesn't need to die.
I also
Needs
need
to
to work
feel
out
the
regularly
cold
or I
sting
get
of
muscle
fate as his
spasms
life
and my body
crumbles in front
micro
of him.
dumps
He's
adrenaline.
hunted by the guild.
Interesting. I get muscle spasms if I work out too much. One thing that hit me hard as I aged is I started overtraining because I was like, I was doing a high level training, a high level amount of training with jujitsu and just like weight training and stuff like that. But then as I got older, you know, the testosterone goes down or whatever. And there are supplements that help with that too. But if you try to maintain the same amount of training as your body, you know, diminishes its capacity for recovery afterwards, then you're going to be just completely freaking miserable. So that was something I had to come to terms with. Is like I was training too much. I got to start taking it easy and taking my rest. Maybe lower the intensity of things a little bit. Now, obviously, I'm not looking as good around the love handle area as I was back in the day, but you know, at least I've managed to stay fairly fit, I guess. Not as much as I'd like, but good enough, I suppose. Just gotta You gotta recalibrate your goals and stuff when you get older a little bit.
Remember, speak only to Anther. Trust no one
Yeah,
else.
literally. There you go. Random question: if you could live in Skyrim, what hold would you live in? Falkreath. Definitely Falkreath. I'm a big fan of forest areas, and Falkreath is beautiful. There are trees everywhere, nice and green, fairly temperate. It does snow, it does rain, but it's not snowing on you all the time. Doesn't get super duper cold. Also doesn't get super hot. Yeah, Falkreath is my jam. I have insane muscle recovery, even for a 24-year-old. I literally trained for 8 hours one day and was ready to do it again. Yeah, it's not the next day that hurts me. It's the day after the next day, right? It's 2 days is when the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, really gets to me, and that's when I feel like actually depressed when my body just can't recover. Training was a combination of weight training, cardio, and weight training. 2 parts weight training, 1 part cardio. I like it. Same, probably the most tolerable regards to weather. Yes, indeed. I feel like a lot of people say Whiterun. Oh, shoot. Those are ice wolves. That would hurt a lot if I got caught in open combat with them. It's because right now, without the slow time modifier on the steady hand bow zoom, combat archery is going to be cumbersome. Not that I can't do it. I've had success with non-slowed combat archery in the past, and it's actually one of my favorite ways to play the game. It's just a lot better if you can slow down time to hit those shots. Landscape seam. Uh-oh. Yeah, it happened. Do be that way sometimes. Okay, let's stay away from the damn Wisp Mother. I don't think we're equipped to handle that yet. I'm really debating whether or not to make use of honed metal for this. I'm trying not to. So thieves don't really have any crafting skills. The best alternative they have to a crafting skill is speech, which means that they can buy the high level items that other classes can't because they'll have more gold, and things will be cheaper for them. But yeah, without access to like smithing or alchemy, especially on legendary difficulty, and the fact that I'm pumping up the difficulty even further through the Wildcat settings, not being able to have access to a crafting skill is going to hurt. So I think usually what I do in that situation is I'll go ahead and level the crafting skills to 100. I just won't perk into them, since the hard cap of a level 50 build is actually just figuring out how you're going to use your 50 perks. Try to sneak around that bear over there, even though it looks like we do have somebody to help fight if needed. I'll go ahead and scale my skills, my crafting skills, up to level 100, but I won't perk into them. And then, so what that does is it lets you sort of independently temper unenchanted weapons to a pretty good degree. I don't know who that guy is, but I'll let him. It looks like 2 snow bears up there. Man, they're just tearing through everything. Might be able to get some eyes or a goat heart or something out of there. There's a goat heart. So yeah, I'll temper up an unenchanted bow or weapon as high as it'll go. And that will help with damage output a little bit. And then I'll enchant after that. Something that makes sense. Usually for Sneak Archer, that's a utility thing, like what I have on the Daedric crossbow right now, which is a blindness effect that comes from Summer Mist. Sneaking is much more effective against the target for 5 seconds. So that helps a lot with Sneak Archery because it helps to reset detection status between shots, so that you don't get fully detected when you shoot someone. So I'd put something like that on there, or the with Zim's immersive artifacts, the Thane weapons. The one that you get from Falkreath is a dagger that turns you invisible whenever you hit an enemy, and you can disenchant that and put that on a bow or something, so you get invisibility every time you hit an enemy with it. So that's going to be one way that I can scale up. It just means that I'm not going to be able to use some of the nicer, unique bows in the game that require the arcane smithing perk, since I'm not perking into smithing.
In for a drink, of course. Where else could I even go?
So those are some challenges that I gotta deal with
Think that'll solve all your problems?
for a playthrough like this.
Probably not, but it's worth
Also, the Shaman Assassin didn't have any crafting skills in the game. And I got around it by doing exactly that. For a lot of like the armor pieces and stuff, I tempered up an unenchanted piece and then put an enchantment on it. Used potions, like usually store-bought potions for enchanting and smithing to boost things up, because even at level 100 alchemy with no perks, you're not going to be able to create things as powerful as you can find from an alchemy vendor.
Perhaps I am not.
Yes.
Elixirs, namely. I say if you don't go nuts with honed metal. Makes it very OP. Yeah, it can, for sure.
Carlia.
But yes, what nobody said above, they would definitely pay someone else to do it for them. Yeah, immersive-wise, but game balance-wise and challenge-wise.
This is just like Gallus. A dear friend
that makes it more worth it to take a
good.
crafting skill instead of like a combat skill or something, and it puts more wrinkles into the balance that way that create more interesting scenarios of, do I take this crafting skill or do I take this combat skill?
Wizard of Markarth, Calselmo, may have the materials you need to get this journal translated.
If you have honed metal installed, then you never have to worry about crafting skills at all.
Guardian of his research,
and you can just focus all on combat, and it kind of gets rid of that balance, that decision. I got tested recently for ADHD, autism, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia. New doctor wanted it done. No surprise diagnoses, but scored high for schizophrenia in the language test. Interesting. Warm Sands, Tom Mole, how you doing, buddy? Glad to see ya. Here it's chilly in your neck of the woods. I have some coworkers from the UK that have been saying it's been cold this week. Hope you're staying warm.
In the time before man, they were known as the Snow Elves.
Ah,
They
Silent
lived in
Echo
the
too.
sunlight and had a very
Welcome, buddy. You home from
society.
Toronto yet?
I think it's time for a drink. Let's see if
You
this
still up there
will give us
putting
a
that
discount.
room, that escape room or the interactive entertainment room together?
Yes, I would say their culture quite possibly rivaled our own.
Looks like this one has missed a lot of fun.
The
Yeah,
Nords
we
went
actually
to
made it
war
through
with the
Snowvale
Falmer in the
Sanctum. It was
First
pretty
Era.
uneventful. I mean,
Killed them by
relatively
the
uneventful in
thousands,
terms of
drive them
danger.
from
We
their
had
snowy
Zora
homeland.
and Mercer
The
there
Falmer
to
retreated
pretty much be meat
underground
shields
and
for us.
forged an uneasy alliance
Obviously,
with the
Carlia
dwarves
got a
who
sucker
ended up
punch in.
betraying them. This betrayal
Sneak
made
attack
them
there,
what they are
paralyzed
now.
us.
Horrible, blind monstrosities with a burning hatred of any.
But
of
now
their
we're
own
BFFs
kind.
with Carlia, and we're working together to take Mercer down. As everybody knows at this point in Skyrim's lifetime. So there's actually a lesser known symptom of autism. You know how you sometimes see a person where there isn't one. That sounds more like schizophrenia. Well, people with ADHD tend to be more prone to that. Oh, you mean like just seeing like a random object on the road and your brain kind of just decides that that's a person and you get kind of spooked? I know what you're talking about. ADHD is more exaggerated with that. That is interesting. Yeah, like sometimes I'll see like a tall stone or like a traffic barricade or like a traffic sign or something like in a distance down a dark street or something. Yeah, random object spooking you. Gotcha. Yeah, I know that effect. I think it's pretty ubiquitous with all people, but it's interesting that it's more pronounced with ADHD. You appear to despise them.
Why shouldn't I? The Falmer have killed more than a fair share of my acquaintances. They're animals.
No, still in
Show
Toronto installing
absolutely no
interactive
pity
games. I get
or
back on the
remorse. If you wish
3rd,
to learn
and the
more
4th
about
I have a
them, you're
tattoo
welcome to my
appointment,
tome on the subject. Should be on
which
my
is
table.
also my cumpleaños. Birthday, huh? You getting some birthday ink. Are you going to add illusion to this build? No, illusion is not a thief skill. It is, it works great with sneak, obviously. A sneak illusionist is a very, very powerful thing indeed.
Besides the fact
I am
that there are
going
only a
off
handful of people
of
in
the
Tamriel that even
Oblivion
recognize the language,
definition of a
I'm
thief,
fairly
which
certain
is
he was planning some sort of a heist
archery,
that
light
involved a
armor,
deep
sneak,
understanding of the
lockpicking,
Palmer
pickpocketing,
language.
and speech.
Sadly, we never had the opportunity to speak about the details.
Birthday, yeah. Birthday Incorporated. Where did he acquire the knowledge to use it?
Ironically, I pointed him in the same direction I pointed you, to Markarth and Calselmo. I'm only hoping whatever means he used to learn the language will still be available to you.
Not as cold as Northern UK, but... oh, Northern UK is cold, huh?
He was a dear friend of mine, and a surprisingly astute pupil of academia. I was devastated when he was killed. I suppose that risk always coexisted with his line of work. I just never thought his luck would run out. For the thrill, of course.
Oh, you don't get scared or startled by it?
He felt more in his element climbing through a window rather than
About to buy a
hunched over
gaming
a
laptop
dusty
too when I get
tome.
back. Maybe Lenovo Legion or Asus ROG. If you all know of any recommendations, let me know, please. No, I think Asus ROG. Those are two pretty good ones, I would say.
Yes. Quite
I mean,
an amusing anecdote, actually.
gaming laptops
I
are
caught him
always going to
trying
be
to
temporary.
break
They might
into my
last you a few
laboratory.
years, right?
I was
Even
about
like
to show him
5,
the
6
error of
years,
his ways when
if you don't
he
mind
made a
scaling
curiously
graphics down on
astute
newer games.
comment about my research notes.
But
I was
for the most
astounded
part,
and
eventually
hurt.
they
Led
end
to
up
a
temporary. You can't
conversation.
upgrade them like you can a
Wouldn't have
desktop.
imagined it would
So
lead to such a strong friendship.
just I would say, you know, find something that works well for people, that you know that you're not going to have mechanical issues like the hinges on the screen aren't coming off, or the hinges don't get cracked because of some like weird thing with the structure. It's not too tight to open up. Things like the keyboard and touchpad don't break down on you, you know, that kind of thing. The power cable, where the power cable goes into the laptop, is another big one. I've had issues with gaming laptops before. A Sony one specifically, Sony Vaio with GTX graphics in it. Yeah, the little guide rod on the AC DC adapter going into the laptop snapped off, so it was like loose. It's for travel mostly, because I travel all the time. Yeah. I also got a sense I was being watched and are followed. Ooh, interesting. Man, that's crazy. People are wild with their complicated brains and their fancy shoes. Love Slack stuff. Running one of his plays on my GOG copy of the AE version of the game, actually using NMM, the working version one. Oh, interesting. All the way back to NMM. I remember kicking it back in NMM world. That was like when SE first came out, like MO2 had a lot of problems. So Nexus Mod Manager was like the main mod managing tool to use that actually worked well. And then MO2 eventually got updated and everything, and that became the way to go. Still refuse to use Vortex. You're taking a stand against Vortex. I mean, the collections and everything are cool for people who kind of want to just live in the Nexus ecosystem. It works fine, right? But yeah, you're always going to do better with MO2 once you figure out what it is exactly you're doing. It's just makes everything a lot more accessible. If you just want to run a few mods and maybe install a collection, you probably don't ever need to use MO2, but you're not going to learn anything that way. Maybe you don't want to. Speak with Calcelmo. All right, well, let's see here. 10:45, it's late. Let's go ahead and just get a room here now. Dagger is busy? Oh, you know what it is? It's the pause on load mod that I'm using because I play a lot of permadeath or roguelite-esque mechanics with Shadow of Skyrim.
They said it's not
And I was getting sick of cheap deaths, just getting killed when I would go through a loading screen because enemies can start moving around a lot faster than you do. But sometimes that breaks down a scripted event. And Dagger there usually has a dialogue, a scripted dialogue with Nellikar.
Welcome.
It gets
Let me know if you want anything.
interrupted.
I got a clean mug around here somewhere.
First time you come through here with that pause on load screen.
Anything you need,
so just come
let
back
me
in
know.
and it fixes itself. Let's see. Fill up on water. And we'll get a room.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Does NMM? Yes, it does. That's kind of like the main thing about NMM. Or no, Vortex does. NMM, I'm not sure. Vortex does for sure. And that's kind of like the main reason you would use Vortex over other things, because on Nexus, it has a lot of other games besides BGS games that have different modding structures, and Vortex can kind of handle all of that a little bit better than MO2 can. MO2 is tuned specifically for BGS games.
I understand.
I think the worst symptom I have is the emotional suppression. It's maddening not to feel things when you know you should be. Yeah, that's interesting. I know people, especially men, have trouble like showing and feeling things when it feels like they should be. It's a very male trait to like not really be in touch with your feelings in ways that aren't always that healthy. You can go numb, you can suppress your feelings, especially things of like sadness and stuff, because society has taught us for generations and generations that we're not supposed to show weakness, that we're not supposed to cry. And that can actually be very detrimental to long-term like emotional and mental health. But it's not really up to us. We've been conditioned for so long that we're supposed to be stoic and strong all the time. Yeah, I feel like a lot of men have that issue outside of Spectrum stuff, but I can see how that would maybe worsen it. USA tends to pick medications over therapy. That's changing a little bit. The medication thing is a little more tempered now than it would be in the past. We still do use it a lot, but it's always kind of like after therapy doesn't work. And then we always try to use the smallest amount of medication necessary. I feel like there have been some major lawsuits about doctors trying to sell things on the behest of the big pharmaceutical companies, which cost them hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in class action lawsuits and things like that. So doctors, especially with like anti-practice suits and everything, are much more careful about that now, and especially with the what's it called, the painkiller drugs that they were giving out like candy for so long that caused an epidemic of addiction, the opiate epidemic, that destroyed a lot of people's lives. And so now that, I mean, they used to give out like I would go in for a tooth extraction or like a root canal or even just a cavity or something, and the doctor would give me like a Percocet or a Vicodin or something, and they don't do that anymore. They'll give you some prescription strength like anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen or something, but they're not going to give you the opioids anymore unless you really, really need it. But yeah, I've been prescribed Vicodin and Percocet, and thankfully I haven't become like addicted to it or anything, but a lot of people do. RFK, yeah, I have I feel like he's about to throw a lot of babies out with a lot of bathwater. I don't like it. But we also shouldn't talk about that. That's political stuff, and I know that triggers a lot of people. Myself included. If you want to talk on Discord, we can, but I don't want to do that in a Skyrim chat. We're here to escape reality, not bring it back into focus for everybody. Okay, nice. Now we're talking about... We're just going all the way into abortion now. Yeah, let's put the kibosh on all this stuff. Let's talk about Skyrim some more, huh? Skyrim and modding. A little bit less about RFK and abortion. I guess I brought it on myself talking about the opioid epidemic and everything. But I think we can reel it in a little bit. Please. All right. What am I doing here? I need to eat. I need to... So, Nulvis. There you go. Let's see. Is it plug and play Nulvis? It has an auto installer, if that's what you're talking about. It might conflict with your antivirus. Probably will, actually. Heard that Skyrim game was good. Yep. Sure is. And I've actually been using it for years. You got to be careful about plugging and playing some other things. Like, you'll probably be fine with like weapons and armor, but Nulvis itself is pretty much up against like plug-in limits and stuff. So you need to be aware of how to ESLify things or merge mods together, because the ceiling, the limit is like the mod count is so close to the limit of non-ESL plugins that you need to be careful. And it also uses a bashed patch which does actually complicate things as far as adding new mods to your list. At least it did back when I was using it. I opted out of the bash patch, which might make some of you uncomfortable, but it's been nothing but a good thing for me. Awesome. Just download setup, setting in game of the mods, and that's it. Yeah, it's a guide, so it'll walk you through step by step how to do everything. In my experience, none of it was too difficult. It did a really good job of walking you through everything that you had to do, and yeah, you even learn some things from it. But you just have to pay a lot of attention and make sure you hit all the steps, because if you get to the end and you start installing these consistency patches and things like that, and you have missed something, it's going to cause a lot of problems. No bash patch. Yeah, no bash patch for me. It adds such a big layer of complications. The bash patch does some nice things. It was mostly more needed back in the day before these authors of weapons and armor mods started scripting their leveled list changes. So it was great for integrating leveled lists of different mods into like one big leveled list, so it wasn't like being overwritten by other mods and everything. Nowadays, and actually for a long time, mod authors have been putting in, like, when you load up the game, when you load the plugin, it'll actually run a script that adds the item into the leveled list, so you don't have to worry about that at all anymore. In fact, I don't remember the last, at least for weapons and armor that weren't just, okay, we're placing this in the world and this is the only one, or if it's just a crafting only mod. I don't remember the last time I installed a mod that it didn't just automatically add itself to the leveled list and broke the leveled list for everything else. It's always just worked fine for me. I've never had a problem. Bash patch resolution fix, ESL patch 2. Smooth the rest out. But now I think it's SPID that does the same thing, but 10 times better. Synthesis too, very helpful. Kind of the same, yeah. SPID only does so much though. Excellent, yes, but won't do everything. Lore rim, yeah, actually I've been toying around with the idea of doing a lore rim stream just so everybody can see what that's all about. That's Requiem based, so it's much different than an IRIM. It's almost like playing a whole different game. For me, I don't like it as much as what I'm playing here. I did put a good, I don't know, 10, 12 hours into it. The 80XP MCO is like the Souls-like combat with like the move sets and everything. It's really cool. It looks great. It works really well. It adds a lot of frames of animation, so it looks a lot better, but it feels less responsive to actually play. I like with vanilla Skyrim, the vanilla combat system, which an IRIM plays off of, everything just feels really nice. It feels like a 3D action game more so than like a slower paced RPG game. And Lore Rim kind of changes that up a little bit with its combat mods and everything. It feels just a little slower, feels a little less responsive, feels a little less like an action game. But if you like Souls-like games, it does feel a lot like that. You're locked into animations. You got to make sure that you're ready to put out that full, combination of attacks. One thing Lore Rim does really, really well, though, is controller support. It does take a lot of work to get that that Souls-like gameplay with the lock-on system and all the different move sets. It takes some work to get a controller running for it, but with Lore Rim, they have a very simple setup for it. They have controller remappings and everything, and it works really great once you know what the button mappings are. I prefer response. Yeah, I do too. Novus seems yeah, I don't know if Novus added the MCO Souls-like combat to it yet. This one is obviously like 4 or 5 years old at this point. And I've just been adding on to it since then. So they have made some big changes with Novus since I've installed it, but yeah. Trouble is, it can give them some very power. Oh yeah, the SPID, the distribution of like spells and items and things like that. Yeah, it gives NPCs and enemies things that they weren't meant to have access to, and yeah, it will give them some very powerful spells and perks and things like that that maybe they shouldn't have. So yeah, be careful. It's another one of those things. It's one of those great mods, but you have to really know. Or you have to be ready to do some experimentation and do some tweaks and stuff before you dive in. You have to know that you're probably not going to like it right out of the box. You're going to run into issues, but you have to be willing to, put the work in, set things up the way you like it. And ultimately, that's how it's going to be most rewarding for any kind of heavily modded setup, really, is once you learn what you do and don't like, and then being able to tweak things in minor ways here and there to get your ideal experience. And I'm getting closer to that. I'm getting a lot closer. Do their spells hurt your player character when they use? Yeah, they do. So yeah, with Triumvirate, there are some really powerful spells that NPCs don't have access to, but that mod does add in some staves, and every once in a while you get hit with like a Witchfire bolt or like the Warlock Witchfire bolt, which does a lot of damage over time, and it's non-elemental, so it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to resist it unless you have blanket magic resistance, and magic resistance in this game is scaled way back from the elemental resistance. So things like the draining, the Shadow Mage draining bolt, that hurts the player character a lot if an enemy is using it. And then like the damage over time stuff, like the Witch Bolt or the Eldritch Blast. Actually, Eldritch Blast is just one thing, but yeah, the non-elemental stuff hurts real bad. It's real bad. Fire blast. Yeah, even that stuff is not as bad as like some of the non-elemental stuff that you're gonna get hit from like triumvirate. For example, there is a spell where you kill their conjured thing. You are poisoned for several minutes, guaranteed instant. That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, there are things that are tuned for high level play for the player character only, and you need to have really powerful tools in order to do any damage to an enemy on legendary difficulty. So a lot of spells are tuned off of that. And once an NPC gets a hold of that and you don't have the proper resistances, which you probably don't, just because blanket magic resistance is hard to find. And it's like you don't really need to spec for it anyway, because mostly you're just going to be fighting elemental mages or dragons. Yeah, it can hurt. How are you liking your Thief playthrough with the Argonian? I like it a lot. I have been playing mostly Warrior so far because I've been really trying hard to get that build guide out before the end of the year. So I'm doing things like just running through the different dungeons to get the different word walls, trying to get the black books, trying to figure out what my end game gear is with all the different enchantments and things like that. And he's the closest to the end, so he's the one I've been concentrating on. But in terms of gameplay, the Thief does things a lot differently. It's a lot more methodical. It's much more. It lends itself a lot better to role play and a slower pace of play. So that's a nice. It's a really nice change of pace from the Warrior playthrough that I've been doing lately. And I've been taking that taking advantage of that slower pace to figure out what kind of settings I want to use in Shadow of Skyrim and Wildcat to get the most balanced but really difficult kind of fine-tuned difficulty to where I can get through some things, but I'm squishy enough that I could die at any time if I do something wrong or something unlucky happens. Are you using Winter Sun? I am indeed, and I do have the Hist as a deity now. Not really doing anything. Oh, I have to pray outdoors. Which I'll go do that now. Only around like 35-40% favor right now. So once I get to 100, be unlocking some really cool things that I can do with the Hist. 43.8%. Not bad. A little better than I thought. So yeah, doing the Hist for this one, doing Ebon Arm for the Warrior, and I forget who I'm doing for the Mage. Just don't remember. It's been so long since I played the Mage. The Mage is great. I really love the Mage, but he's very complicated. He's going to take a lot of setup. Just with the sheer amount of spells and perks that you have that have different synergies, it's really hard to find all of them. I had a mod conflict which puts the entirety of Skyrim underwater, so naturally I installed numerous mods for underwater combat and played Skyrim underwater. Interesting. I have the one that really fleshes out the underwater. I don't remember what it's called, but it adds like whales and stuff to it, to the Sea of Ghosts. But there is like one specific area that you have to go to unlock all that stuff. And I haven't actually played with it. It was one of those that Nulvis comes with that I've never actually dived into yet. But that sounds awesome. Sacrosanct Vampire Teleport with Deadly Reach is very fun. That does sound interesting. Wicked Wind, I think, is the teleport spell. It's like a power. Sacrosanct Vampire is awesome. I need to do a Sacrosanct Vampire build guide. Soonish. Much more thought out and kind of tedious, but once you get leveled up, you can speed up the gameplay a bit, especially with poisons. Even on legendary, poisons are great. Yes, as long as they are not undead or Atronach or a Dwarven Automata. They only work against living enemies, which sucks against vampires. Could you post in Discord the Lorim modless text file? I don't know. I got mine off of Wabbajack. Modless. Maybe I could do it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. I don't know if I can paste it in chat because it's going to be huge. This is one of those that has like 3,500 plus. I can post it in Discord though. Been using Sacrilege. How do you like Sacrilege? Have you played Sacrosanct, Silent? How do you like Sacrilege compared to Sacrosanct? I think Magus actually prefers... He said that he prefers Sacrilege to Sacrosanct. I'm just wondering what other opinions are. I've only ever really used Sacrosanct. Yeah, like kind of like how the illusion tree has Master of the Mind that works on anything for illusion spells. Yeah, that would be cool if they had like a perk for that. 3 different mod list text files. Oh, because there's... Okay. I think I'm using normal for this one. Yeah, Haster, this is... I'm not going to be able to fit this in chat. 3,723 mods. 22... Yeah, probably about 3,700 with the dividers and things added in. I haven't used Sacrosanct yet, just Sacrilege, so couldn't tell you. I know it's a lighter version. Yeah, the Sacrilege is more of the, kind of like the VS plus or the V plus. Yeah, Lore Rim's huge. Lore Rim is a lot, and with Lore Rim, with a huge mod list like that, it's gonna take forever to load up. It's into MO2. Well, actually, the MO2 profile loads up pretty quickly, but loading up the game as it's trying to set up its virtual file system for all of these mods, it does take a long time to get into the game. Loading screens take forever. It's crazy, and it does end up being kind of buggy as well. You just add this many mods in, and you're gonna run into issues. But yeah, I can shoot this over to you in Discord though. I think Discord has attachment. Doesn't really have attachment limits like that. You just throw the file in there for you. Which I can do presently because I think we're at the end of our window here, guys. Oh God, I gotta stretch. Jeez, I think I need a nap, guys. I'm tired. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I had a good time, as I always do. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, sure. No problem, Calidran. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for lurking. Glad having you here. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so if you like this, you happened across the channel, do check out the links in the description. We're kind of a tight-knit community. A lot of us hang out in the same spaces, so there are probably some Twitch links, for the Wind, for Magus, some other folks down in there. So a lot of familiar faces in those different streams and stuff over there. So do check those out. Yeah, I think that's it. Happy Thanksgiving next week to everybody in the States. I got a 4-day weekend coming up. Get some good deals on your Black Friday shopping. A good weekend. We mourn from the shadows. Ooh, he's getting all edgy. It's gonna be okay, Silent. Don't miss me too much. Don't gotta get all edgy about it and mourn. It'll be all right. Is Novus taxing on a PC, modern gaming laptop? Yeah, it'll be fine. If you do like the performance or the normal profile, it also has an ultra profile, which had some lighting artifacts, some lighting goofiness, and a little bit of stability issues. But on my 4090, it played pretty well. But normal and performance mode should be fine. It's a huge amount of you're gonna need a lot of space for it. A lot of space for it. Something like, I don't know, like 300 gigabytes plus the install of Skyrim. It's going to be huge. So just make sure you have the space for it. But besides the time it takes to download and install everything, which is going to be a better part of the day, depending on what your internet connection is, it's worth a shot. You might really like it, and there's not a lot of setup that you have to do. It's very automated. 4070 to a 4090. Well, yeah, you're not going to get the same 4090 experience on a laptop. Even if the laptop has a 4090 on it, it's probably closer to a 4070 Ti on a desktop. It's just the way it is. It's a different chipset. They just call it 4090 because it's the top end one. But yeah, 4070 to 4090, you're going to be great. You're not going to have a problem with it. It'll perform well. Yeah, no problem, Silent. Good luck hunting for that laptop. Okay, so it looks like Magus is streaming, probably Enderall. Awesome. Might see some of you guys there. All right, thanks a lot. I know this was a long goodbye. But yeah, I hope you guys take care. See you around, okay?